Hey fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 138.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
But the trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm, and the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week. An especially cracking week this week. Mm-hmm. As you could tell, it's quite exciting to have new Doctor Who back on the telly.
Yes.
A little bit, lost my cool there. A bit excited. Yes, Series 10 has landed.
Yes.
Indeedy.
At last.
Looking forward to our catch-up later about that. Got some interesting thoughts and comments and views and opinions and all that faff that goes with it. But first, we're going to have a usual catch-up, and we got some very light news. It's just Series 10 stuff, really. But we have got a few merch items to talk through.
Yeah.
Before we crack on, we're going to keep you in suspense about the pilot. We're going to wait till our normal slots later on.
And as usual, I don't know what you think of it. You don't know what I think of it, I don't think.
As usual, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think I might have guessed. I mean, it's one of those episodes, isn't it, where I think, well, can never be sure. You know, you sort of think, yeah, you might like it, you might not. So we'll see. But I'm looking forward to, chewing the fat with you over that one later.
Chewing the fat.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So you have been on some travels, haven't you? You haven't done much Who-related stuff, but you have been on a nice little break.
No, I've been like, yes, I have. I popped over to France for a few days, over to Lyon.
As you do.
As you do. And for a nice little break. When we arrived at the airport, it looked like the next episode, Doctor Who, we get Smile. You know, they're in Valencia, I think they filmed. Do you know that futuristic?
Oh, yeah.
Building.
Yep.
It looked just like that, and I was like, "This isn't it, is it?" I was like, "No." I was trying to convince myself I was there, but it looked so similar to it, so I was getting pictures of that. But yeah, it was great. I had a nice little break, but I was the whole time just aware that the buzz for Doctor Who was reaching fever pitch, and I was sort of like feeling a bit out of it. It was a bit like there was a party in the next room, and I was just looking through the doors, if you know what I mean. I kept checking every time we got back to the hotel, and I could get a little bit of Wi-Fi. I was checking Twitter to see, what the latest was. And I could see people counting down to, like half an hour to go. And I was like, oh no, because I couldn't get it in France. I couldn't watch it. Like, the iPlayer doesn't work. The TV only had about 3 channels on it in the hotel. And none of them are English. There was 2 of them were French and 1 was Chinese, bizarrely. So, so I couldn't actually watch the episode while I was away. And it was kind of killing me inside a little bit. We were sat in the bar, the hotel bar, when the episode would have been going out, and I was checking my phone, and my other half was just like, stop looking at your phone. I was like, yeah, but it's killing me inside that I'm missing it. And he was like, wow, I wouldn't have booked the holiday if I'd known. I was like, wow, we booked it before we knew. And it was like, but it was, it's tearing me apart, the fact that I wasn't getting to see it, because it's the first time since the show's come back that I've missed the opening episode live. Like, I always make a point of just, I'm at home, I lock myself in. I normally have a little bottle of wine or something. It's a bit of an event for me. I always make sure I'm there to watch it go out live, series opener. So this is the first time ever since it come back in 2005 that I've missed, an episode live. So it really was sort of tearing me up. And I'm not too bothered about spoilers. So as soon as the episode was over, I was straight back online, another glass of wine in the hotel bar, checking all the comments, and just really pleased to see this amazing reaction to the episode from the majority of fans, because I'm thinking back, like I just said, Doctor Who's back on the screens finally. If you think it has been a long wait, and I remember us both saying at the time, God, we've got a year to go. We were saying, but it goes quickly. Time goes quickly, and sure enough, already it's hit our screens. It doesn't feel like a year to me since we were saying that. Mm-hmm. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, yep.
So but yeah, so it's finally back on the screens, and yeah, it was just great to see all the positive reaction and for this episode, or mostly anyway. I didn't see much negativity. I mean, we'll get to our comments later on when we do the review, but I think mostly positive on this one, which is great, because there's been such a lot of negativity. I think not leading up to this, but there has been in Doctor Who fandom recently. I think, would you agree? This when Matt Lucas was announced, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, what's going on?" He's going to be terrible. And then they had the little mini clip of Pearl, which I personally didn't like. I thought, oh no, the companion looks annoying. This, where is this show going? And Capaldi's character was so unevenly written in series 9, and so it wasn't looking like it was going to be great, was it? It was looking like it was, the show was going down the pan a bit. The viewing figures were dropping off, and so it's all been a bit negative. And so it was just, that's what I mean when I said, when the episode's now finally gone out, just to see such a positive reaction from the majority of fans, it has been great, because it has lifted the show back up in my eyes.
Absolutely.
I just think, brilliant, and I'll get onto my thoughts of the episode later, and we'll see if we agree about the story. But it's just, in terms of fandom itself, it's just great to have this positive vibe buzzing again about the show. So yeah, so it's good. So yeah, I haven't done much Doctor Who wise, but I did get back and watched it. Finally got to see it on Tuesday. So I was like, the first thing I did, I was like, right, get that blimmin' episode on. I was like, just desperate to actually watch it. And I didn't want my hopes to be too high either, because I'd seen so many positive things. I didn't go into it with any high expectations. I was thinking, well, don't expect too much, just go into it and enjoy it. And yeah, so I put it on, finally got to see it, and wow, we'll talk through it when we get to it later on. But it's just been a good overall buzz over the weekend, I think, just leading up to this. Yeah, like you said, a good time to be a Doctor Who fan. I think you said it on Twitter.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
But the important thing to realise is that it's just a TV programme.
No, it's not.
I'm kidding. Do you know, when some people, there was this, that used to be a thing around Star Wars, didn't it? When Star Wars fans used to go mental over the slightest details and all that, and non-Star Wars fans or non-geeks used to say, it's only a film, right? It's only a movie, and it used to invoke this rage from within. And I kind of get the feeling it's a bit like that with hardcore Who fans. Well, not necessarily hard, but the fandom in general. When people say, "What are you getting so into it about? Why are you so into it? It's just a TV program." You just get that look like, "Oh no, you didn't."
But
oh no, you didn't.
Oh no, you didn't. But I sometimes feel sorry for the people who haven't got that, because
are they empty inside?
Yeah, because it's like, this is our thing, isn't it? Like Doctor Who is my thing, and it's your thing, and it's something that we're passionate about. And I suppose in a way I do live for it. I was thinking, because what I'm like about flying, I'm not a very good flyer, and this will sound crazy, but the whole time I'm in the air, I'm thinking, oh, please don't crash. I want to see the first episode of Doctor Who. Oh, and it's these crazy things that go through your head. So in a way, I do live for Doctor Who. It is the passion of my life, and and I know a lot of our listeners will be the same. And I think if somebody hasn't got something like that in their life, they probably do find that a bit crazy, don't they? They're like, what's the fuss about? I'm thinking of someone in particular, but I'm not going to name them because I'm thinking of sort of somebody that I know that's very much not into Doctor Who and that sort of thing, and he can never get why, to him it's a bit of a joke the way I'm so into it, if you know what I mean. It's always like, well, if I get if something new arrives, and so I it's just, if you don't have something like Doctor Who in your life, I think it can be seen as a bit crazy, to be so into it.
Indeed.
Yeah, but I'm glad we are crazy. I'm good. I'm happy being crazy.
It's not maybe everyone else is crazy.
We're the same ones. Go. That's a worrying thought. Yeah,
indeed. So quiet for you. Just looking
just
forward
holidays
to,
and drinking and just desperately wanting to get back to see it. Yes, yes, and that's all happened now, so it's all good. And I feel quite refreshed from my breakaway as well. So yeah, it's all good. No parcels as well. I was expecting to get, normally I have quite a few parcels waiting for me when I get back because you know what I'm like at spending, but nothing. I got back, maybe because it's the bank holiday, but there was just one tiny little letter on the table, and I was like, oh, where's all my Forbidden Planet comics? And I wanted something to come home to, but I obviously haven't ordered much lately, so that was disappointing. So no Alpha Centauri or Malice waiting for me in the post.
Oh, what?
I got back.
Yeah, I've had a quiet one as well. I haven't done hardly anything Who, really. No visits to the Who shop for me.
Oh,
yeah, very
you
quiet.
did get a box though, which intrigued me. What was that?
Oh, yes.
You got that mystery box.
Yeah,
I was like, I saw it and I was like, what's he got there?
I think did we speak about this one?
Well, you said you was toying with getting it. You obviously at some point decided to actually get it.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. I think it was not last week, but the week before. We spoke about one of these. We would struggle to remember the name for ages, and it was the Loot Crate.
Loot Crate, yeah.
And there was another company that they've launched, you can pre-order the specific Doctor Who one. It's called the something box.
Is it just the TARDIS Geek box or something? I don't
Something
know.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But as I was looking around for that, somebody tweeted me or pointed me in the direction of this other company called The Amazing Mystery Box.
Ah.
And they started out doing these boxes at London Film and Comic Con last year.
All right.
And they were at Star Wars Celebration, other sort of events. But now they do this sort of monthly delivery subscription thing like the other companies do. And they do a Doctor Who one. So I thought, let's do it because it's the cheapest one out of the lot. So I thought I'd go in soft, not just blow, loads of cash on these blind boxes, if you like. And but I haven't opened it yet. So I'm going to do it on a live stream either tonight or tomorrow night. So it's a bit timey-wimey, but if you're listening to this on Friday, this podcast has gone out, which will be, the 21st? Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
So if you're listening on Friday the 21st, you may have already seen it yesterday or the day before. Or if you're listening to this next week, you would have seen it last week. But yeah, I just wanted to do a bit of a sort of a live stream thing.
Oh, okay.
Just so we can experience it together. Because I don't want to be selfish.
Well, I guess you've obviously got a lot more willpower than me because that would have been open within seconds. I probably just would have resealed it and pretended.
Well, I owe this really to one of our listeners. So when I put a picture on, I think it was Instagram and Twitter of just the outside of the box, one of our listeners, Lou, she said, "Oh, why don't you do this why don't you do a video so we can all see?" I was like, that's a good idea.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So thank you, Lou. So I'm going to do it as a live stream. So you've probably already seen it listening to this now. Or if not, go to Facebook and find it. It should be there. Or if I was really lazy, it's not on there. And this is all moot anyway. So just don't worry.
Well, which company is it from though? What is the box?
It's from, it's called it's just called the Amazing Mystery Box.
Oh, okay, because that one we were talking about the other week as well, that it's not the one in the TARDIS box, is it? Is that something else?
No, that is the one we were talking about.
It's
not this one, though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is getting confusing. There's lots of
there's too many mystery boxes, I know, yeah.
So this one, so the amazingmysterybox.com.
Right.
And they do lots of different types of boxes. Essentially, they do... like generic geek style stuff, or they do specific ones. So they do a Doctor Who one. They also do a Star Wars one. They do, they do like Batman and DC, that stuff. They do a Marvel one. They do, it's almost a tank engine, which might be cool.
Oh, wow.
But yes, they do a Doctor Who themed one. And they do two different versions as well.
Okay.
So I got the one that was 25 squids. But they also do one which is 50 quid. So the one I got, you definitely get a T-shirt of some description.
Okay.
And they reckon you get around 70 quid's worth of of stuff.
Well, I should be tuning in to see if there's a pack of TARDIS mints in there, because they're very exclusive. So hopefully, what if it's just a whole box of TARDIS mints, £70 worth?
I'd be okay with that.
You'd be happy. They'd look good on your shelf. You could have, you'd have a lifetime supply of mints on your wall, next to your Funkos.
Yeah. So the 50 quid one, you get all the stuff that you get in the 25 quid one, but you also get some signed bits.
Oh,
so that might be interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So this is, you just got this one just as a tester, basically, just to see what it's like.
Yeah.
And
I can't remember for the life of me what the one that we spoke about was last week or the week before. It was like a Doctor Who BBC licensed one by a certain company, but it wasn't Loot Crate, and I can't remember. So anyway, that was my week. Although I did watch a bit of Who on the Watch channel.
Oh yeah.
Well, not on the Watch channel. It's called W now, isn't it? On W.
Yeah.
There was they had a Regenerations Day, so it was basically all of the last episodes of each Doctor's series. Essentially, I caught the Tennant ones. So it was Stolen Earth and Journey's End, which he didn't really regenerate, did he? It was just his hand regenerated into another Doctor.
Yeah,
and a bit of Donna, but yeah.
I always loved that cliffhanger, but I never liked the second Doctor thing. I don't think we've reviewed that episode, have we? No, we haven't got round to that one yet. But it'd be interesting when we do, because I've got some thoughts on that whole thing. I thought it was a bit weird. Actually, there is one other thing I've just remembered. You've just reminded me, actually, talking of regeneration. I did watch Peter Capaldi on Graham Norton. Oh, yeah. Did you see him?
Nope.
Oh, okay. I watched it yesterday after watching the episode, because I wanted to hear his thoughts on it. God, it took. He didn't speak to him for ages. It was like literally the very end of the episode. Graham Norton finally spoke to Peter. I felt sorry for him, unless they just cut a load out. But he had like Warren Beatty on there as well, and somebody else, I can't remember, Miranda Hart or someone. But yeah, he kept chatting to all the other guests, and poor old Peter's just sat at the side, and I kept thinking, when's he going to talk to Peter? Anyway, right at the end of the episode, before the music, he finally did. But the reason I mention it is because Peter was saying, Graham Norton said, so you've already filmed your death then, your regeneration? And Peter was like, yeah, but it's not that straightforward. I was like, uh-oh, what does that mean? So, and then of course there's all these rumours going out about who the new Doctor is that's been cast and stuff, and that got me thinking, what's the Moff playing at? Because Peter said he's still got to film the Christmas one.
That's true.
So he's saying he's got to film the Christmas episode, but he's already filmed the regeneration of sorts, and obviously we did get that bit in the trailer, didn't we, where he starts to regenerate or whatever. Well, so I am so intrigued where we're going with this. Do you know what I think? I think we're going to get a 2 Doctor story. I think we're going to get what will it be, 12 and 13, 14, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think we're going to get a double Doctor Christmas special.
I don't think we will.
No?
I like your theory, but I think it's more a case of he's pulling an RTD on us. So
like the hand,
so it's going to. I think it's going to lead up to. We think it's going to be the regeneration scene, but then it's going to be halted in some way, or something's going to happen. He's not going to regenerate properly. Then he'll be back for Christmas and then regenerate properly. Then
you think he'll regenerate at the end of the Christmas special?
Yeah. Talking of but no, I like that theory though, mate. And if we had a 2 Doctor story, that would be awesome.
It'd be interesting for a regeneration story, wouldn't it? If we got to, I'm really intrigued of where he's going with that. Yeah. Speaking
of rumours and stuff, did you see? So you would have heard us talk many times about this very reputable, authoritative, no-nonsense newspaper called The Sun in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Very, they take their journalism very seriously. There's no fake. It's all good. So they put a story out saying that this particular actor has, handed in his notice at his current role and is already filming stuff for the new, episode. And it's that young chap. What's his name?
Chris Marshall.
Chris Marshall, yes. So apparently Chris Marshall, left what he was doing up until a few weeks ago and is now doing some sort of pre-production work with Who and has done a little bit of filming and so on. So according to the Sun newspaper, that's the new Doctor right there.
What would, if it was him, what do you reckon?
I'm not sure really. Do you know what? It's a very... all the discussions that we've had over the years about companions, when companions have been and gone and stuff like that, we've always had, I would say, hot and cold responses to companions. And but I think where Doctor Who is, one thing that they've always done consistently well, in my opinion, is casting the Doctor. So if they did cast him, I'd be very happy with that, because even though he wouldn't be my first choice, I don't know if I've got a choice really, I haven't thought about it too much, but it wouldn't be my first choice. I think it would be a good thing, because they've always nailed it with the Doctor. So if they've cast him, then based on Eccleston in 2005 onwards, we should, what's the word?
Have faith?
We should have faith in their casting decisions. Yeah, where it concerns the Doctor anyway. They've not let us down yet. We've always had fabulous actors playing the Doctors, haven't we?
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's true. I must admit, when I first heard that rumour, I was like, nah, I wasn't too sure about him, because I associate Chris Marshall more with comedy roles. Like he was in My Family for about 25 years, wasn't he? And then he went on to do that other detective thing, which I never really watched. But I don't know. If he was cast, I wouldn't mind. I don't think he'd be bad. In fact, he might be quite good, because I think listening to I was listening to the Proctor Who podcast yesterday, and they were talking about him. And Mark on that podcast was saying he has got a very alien quality to him. And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I suppose so. He is a bit odd looking, in a way. He's one of those guys that's sort of a bit like Matt Smith. He's kind of good looking but odd looking at the same time. I think there's probably some word out there for that, but I can't remember what it is. One of the down with the kids would know, but I don't know. But yeah, he would be okay. I think he might surprise us if it is him. So I wouldn't mind. Let's put it that way. I wasn't initially blown away by the choice if it was true, but I wouldn't mind. I think actually he might turn out to be quite good, and very often actors who do comedy turn out to be quite good at doing serious as well, don't they? So
yes, Catherine Tate.
Exactly. Yeah. She was just
basically comedy sketches, wasn't she, in the Catherine Tate show, and she ended up being an awesome addition to the show. So
she was brilliant. Yeah, so absolutely. So if it was him, I wouldn't mind. And the other thing is, I'd quite like it because I've already got a photo with him. I met him years ago, so I'd be like, yes, I've already got the Doctor. So yeah, I wouldn't mind if it was Chris Marshall, but yeah, we'll see. I just because we've got 1 year of Capaldi, let's just enjoy Capaldi first. It really annoys me. There's so much stuff being talked. Yeah.
There was interesting you say that on one of the behind the scenes videos for one of Tennant's series. I think it was series 4, the specials, when he was being interviewed about his time on the show, and one of the things that he said was, "It's really funny because as soon as you get cast as the Doctor, people start asking straight away, so when you going then, how many series are you going to do when you off?" It's a funny old out of all the acting roles, it must be a funny old role to land, the Doctor.
Because actually sorry,
go on.
No, go on. You finish what you said.
I was just going to say, because you're stuck with it for the rest of your life. That's the first bit. You'll never escape that role, will you? You're always, unless you land something. Well, I don't really know what's anything bigger than Doctor Who in terms of TV, not films, but in terms of sci-fi, family shows on TV. What's bigger than in the UK anyway? So you're always going to be the Doctor, regardless of how many years you do it. If it's one series like Eccleston, or 5 years, whatever, like Tennant, you're always going to be. It's going to follow you around, isn't it? And also, it's like it's a strange sort of world that you live in, because all of a sudden, regardless of your fame at that point, you are sort of thrust into the world of fandom. You're going to be followed around everywhere. Like how you said when you saw Capaldi at the BFI, he looked absolutely knackered. So
he did. He looked shattered. And he said it. He said, "I'm absolutely exhausted."
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why I don't think it was the main reason, but one of the reasons why Matt Smith left, because he said, like, literally, pretty much all of your year is devoted to Who. You know, I think you're filming for 10 months out of the 12 or doing stuff like that. And then on top of that, you've got, you know, the interviews and the
promotion
press stuff,
and all that.
promotional. Yeah, it's just, so it is a funny one. It's not like being in EastEnders where you just turn up, you know, 5 days a week, and that's a bit more akin to a normal job, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is crazy. It's like, so it is a funny one.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, you just reminded me again. That's what Peter said on Graham Norton, because Graham Norton asked him, "Why now? Why are you leaving now?" And Peter just said, because Peter's very honest, isn't he? And it's what I love about Peter. He just said he said Doctor Who's a bit of a work factory, and he said it's just so much. You have to dedicate so much time to it. He said it's exhausting, you know. And I'm still enjoying it, but it is taking it out of me. So I've decided it's time to move on, you know. And I just and it did make me think of that, because I think Eccleston said the same, didn't he? It's like part of the reason he left is he just found it too much. Everything about it, you know, it's quite an overwhelming job. Yeah, and like you said, there isn't anything like it, I don't think, you know. But you got to, like you said, it stays with you. So even if you never work again, it's probably pays for your pension. You know what I mean? Once you're the Doctor, just make sure you've got it in your contract. You get a percentage from the merchandise and everything else, and repeats, and you're made.
That's it.
You know?
Yeah.
And if ever you're feeling like you need to make a few grand, just think, I might just pop along and sign a few autographs at that convention. You know, you'd never have to worry about work, I don't think.
Yeah.
Or money.
You're spot on there, mate. I think one of back in the classic years, who was it? If you've read Andrew Cartmell's The Script Doctor book, he talks about casting a certain person. And was it? I don't think it was McCoy as the Doctor, but somebody else in the show. You know, one of the things that came up when they were talking about, you know, being in the show was the lucrative convention circuit after you've left the show.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can go on and make, you know, some quite decent money from. And who was one of our listeners? Who was it? Martin Badwilf. We had a chat last month about how much these people charge.
Yeah, that's right. We were on about US conventions, weren't we?
And it was unbelievable. I think Matt Smith. Yeah. So I think they have something called a guarantee at certain conventions, where even if you turn up and you don't sign a single autograph, you know, make any money at all, you still get paid. It was ridiculous. It was like $500,000. To, you know, just to be there for the day. And that's even if you didn't sell a thing, you know, you're getting that money just to turn up and smile and, you know,
and be there.
Sit on your phone, do whatever you want to do. So it's we're going to waffle on, aren't we, for ages? Shall we? That block I'm talking about, that's what it's called, Nerd Block. That's what we spoke about.
Oh, it's a Nerd
previously.
Block. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's what we spoke about on the show, nerdblock.com, and they do the official Doctor Who one.
Yes.
So, so look out for the live stream back on Facebook, and you'll see my thoughts on the big mystery box thing. See how it fares. But yeah,
I look forward to seeing what you've got in there. I should be watching.
Indeedy. Let's land the TARDIS, shall we? Because we haven't got a lot of news, but
okay.
Yeah. So we're just going to talk about some ratings and some initial sort of reactions in the media to the pilot. So the first bunch of overnight figures, 4.6 mil.
Yeah.
I can't remember if that's good or not compared to like the last couple of series.
Slightly up on The Magician's Apprentice, I think, which was obviously the opener for last Series 9. It's only slightly, I think. Yeah. Right. The thing is, when I initially saw that, because obviously there's been a lot more promotion for this series, they did a brilliant thing on the South Bank. I don't know if in London, I don't know if you saw that, where they did like a 3D picture on the floor.
Yes.
And Peter and Pearl and the Moth were there. Like, it was like a sort of open chasm, and they were like posing as if they were going to fall down it with Cybermen and stuff coming out of it. It was wonderful. So there's been a lot more promotion for this series. So when I initially saw the overnight, I was a little bit sad. I was like, oh, only 4 million. But then again, putting it into context, it was the second most watched program on BBC One on the day, I think.
Right.
So it was just a fraction behind All Round to Mrs. Brown.
Oh yeah.
Do you watch that?
No.
Oh, nor do I. But anyway, so it was a fraction behind that, which got 4.67 million, and Doctor Who was 4.64. So it was still the second highest watched program on BBC One of the day. So that, just to give it some context, means actually that's pretty good. It's just, it sounds quite low, doesn't it, when you sort of, when you hear about programs like, Britain's Got Talent got 8.65, and that's kind of where Doctor Who used to be, in the Tennant era. So yeah, when I initially read that, I was like, oh, only 4 million, but yeah, it's still very good for the time slot and for the day and everything. So, and also let's not forget it's an overnight figure, so that will jump up massively once they've added on all the other stuff that they add on, all your iPlayer and repeat viewings or whatever they do. So that will go up, but it's the important thing to remember is it's a good figure. It's the second most watched program on BBC One that day, so by no means bad.
Indeed. And I think overall, very roughly they nabbed about a quarter of the entire TV audience that night. So I think about 24 point something %.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Like I said, I can't remember how well that fares against last series or one before, but like you say, I think it's up a bit, isn't it, from there?
I think it's just fractionally, just slightly higher, I think.
Yeah.
And
they we also have the audience appreciation index, or AI, whatever it's called, which is currently stands at 83.
Okay, that's good.
So,
high.
Yeah. So 83 is considered good, apparently.
Okay.
Basically, it's an indication of how much people enjoyed watching that particular program, and I think they select at random a bunch of people, a bunch of viewers, and then just after it's gone out, they rate it in terms of they've got some different criteria that they put that score against, but it's not like it's not their personal review as such. It's more against some criteria, but 83 is meant to be pretty good.
Yeah, I've always wondered how they do that, actually. Like, where do they, how do they get that AI figure? I guess it's like you said, they just pick a random selection and just ask them. Just if you're interested, I did a poll actually on Twitter, just asking what did you all think to the Series 10 opener, the pilot, and 41% said excellent, which is very good.
Cool.
46% said good, 10% average, and 3% said poor. So that, again, as considering how Doctor Who fandom has been of recent, I thought that was really good. In terms of feedback. Yeah.
And just to give you an example, the highest AI score for that day was Dad's Army on BBC Two.
Oh, really?
And that scored an AI number of 87, which is considered very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, I love Dad's Army, but obviously it's been on. I don't think it's ever been off the telly, is it? It's just always on. No. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, and also we got some very early figures in from our from the viewers down under, and so in Australia they got 500,000 viewers across 5 cities, and that was the second highest rating on ABC.
Oh, excellent.
So that doesn't include things like their equivalent to iPlayer and all that stuff. But so I think overall it's done really well.
Yeah.
Considering, I think it's a good thing that they threw some money into promotion, which they didn't do that much of last time. And it's just good stuff.
Yeah, I've been loving the promotion. I don't know about you. I've thought they've really done well on on the promotion this year. I hope they keep it up though. I hope they keep the momentum going, if you know what I mean. Because I think, was it Series 9 where we didn't get any trailers, or it didn't seem to be anything in the week? Like normally sort of after EastEnders, for example, you'd get like a short trailer. You could guarantee they'd do, Doctor Who trailer would be on after EastEnders. And I think it was Series 9 where we just didn't seem to be getting anything at all. Like saying, coming this Saturday, Doctor Who, there didn't seem to be any of that last year. So it's good. I think we've already had a few trailers for Smile. So yeah, keep the momentum going. It's looking, things are looking good at the minute.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
So that's the pilot, some initial figures there. When we speak about this next week, we'll probably have some far greater numbers, I would expect, to plot on there. But yeah, overall pretty good.
Yeah.
Right, let's let our mechanical friend in and see what he's got.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
You can't have it. Crikey. It's my mystery box. Now do one. It's getting worse, mate.
He's getting cheeky. Have you got a name for that Dalek? Have you named him yet?
No, because he's cheeky.
Yeah, just call him Cheeky.
It's cheeky. Yeah, I might call him Cheeky.
Cheeky Dalek.
He is getting a bit forward, though. Going to have to, I think a couple of backhanders will sort that out. Right, anyway, some merch. We spoke about this little dude.
Yeah.
This little buddy, didn't we? A couple of weeks ago. Alpha Centauri.
Yes.
Alpha Centauri? Centauri.
Centauri,
yeah. Yes. So Robert Harrop. We saw an early sculpt of this a few weeks back. And it's now been painted and everything, and it looks fabulous.
It does. It does. I can almost imagine it saying that like that as well. I'm fabulous. Yeah. Yes, it does. It does.
It looks great, doesn't it? And this is one of the figures out of the list. So earlier on in the year, we said, right, Robert Harrop are going to be doing a dozen new figures this year. And we were like, how are they going to get through this list? But they are ploughing through it. So this is the first one, I believe. Oh, no, the Master was the first one.
Oh, that was a good one as well, yeah.
The Crispy Master, yeah. And I saw him, actually, in the Who shop. They had him in the cabinet.
Oh, right. Does he look as good in hand, sort of thing?
Yeah, looks really good. Yeah. He was next to the Mammoth. I'm not going to say that anymore. But yeah, so Alpha Centauri from Robert Harrop is 60 squids.
Yeah.
And it's limited, this one. It's 200.
Oh.
So we're not going to say that. We say this all the time. But I'm going to say it again. If you want it, then you're going to have to get it.
Yeah.
Because as, a few people have witnessed in the past, if you leave it and then go to order it and it's gone, you're going to be gutted about that.
Yeah, and they are, as I said, when they're gone, they're gone, and then they just go for silly money on eBay. The last time I looked at the Malice, he was 150 quid on eBay, which was yesterday. I always check eBay for the Malice. I'm going to have to get myself up to the Who shop and see how much she's got it selling for. But yeah, the Alpha Centauri figure, it looks great. I love it. Just and it's not a bad price. I mean, 60 quid, it's not bad because these are all hand painted and believe me, they look great when you get the actual thing. If you sort of think, and we've said this before, but if you're thinking, oh yeah, but it's 60 quid, just think about all those little things that you buy that you end up just throwing in a corner. I love Titan figures, but I buy them, then they just sit in the corner. For 6 little Titan figures, I could get this beautiful Alpha Centauri figure, and it's just they're so lovely. I'd love to just get all of them. I mean, the Master's brilliant as well. So yeah, it's a nice figure. You're going to be getting it, Gary? I'm saying it because the Doctor does call it it, doesn't he? It's not a he or a she, it's an it, isn't it? Yeah.
I want. Yeah, I think so. I think
you're
so.
Like me, aren't you? You want it, but you're just sort of thinking, but there's others coming up. I want, and
that's it. Yeah, so I might do. I might leave it for at least another month. Because I'm pretty sure that 200 won't go in a few weeks, but but I think so. It looks really nice. They've done a great job on it.
I was just thinking how cool, and I'm not trying to tempt you, by the way, but I'm just thinking how cool it would look next to your Sea Devil.
Yeah,
it really would, though, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
And the Robert Harrop stuff, they do the whole experience really well. Not spoken about this before, but the boxes that they ship these figures in are really nice as well. Really cool, like properly licensed Doctor Who box with the Harrop logo on, and they're quite a large box as well. They put a decent amount of sort of polystyrene and foam around it all, and It's really good. It's really worth that. I mean, 60 quid, I would say, when I first looked into the Robert Harrop stuff, I thought they were going to be around 100 quid, these figures. But for £60, it's very, very good value. They're really good.
They are nice. They come with a little numbered certificate as well, because each one's individually numbered, so you get that as well. I'm just once again just hovering over the button, and I know if he sells that, I'm going to be gutted. I might just have to get it. We'll see. So I'm gonna stop looking at it now, because I'm already too tempted.
Sure,
but it's a lovely figure. Right. What else have we got? Yes, Big Chief still knocking loads of Doctor Who stuff out.
That's what you're going to say, still knocking about.
Still knocking around. No, actually, the Big Chief stuff's really good. I don't know about you, Gary. I can't remember if I've asked you about this before, because they have done quite a lot of Doctor Who stuff, haven't they? They're like big figurine. I mean, they're very detailed figurines, and they do Star Wars. They do obviously loads of Doctor Who. They do all sorts, but they're like... I can't think of a better way to say this. It's like a big doll. It's like an Action Man, Doctor Who, but in very cool clothes, and like the time and care that's gone into actually putting the figure together is amazing, isn't it? Like with the outfit, and they're very well detailed. And the latest one that they've done, which is the one we're talking about now, is the 8th Doctor. Yes. And it's from the TV movie version, so it's him kind of holding up his little pocket watch, and he's got the long hair going on and the cravat and the long coat and stuff. I've never really asked you, but do you like the Big Chief stuff? Because do you like the Big Chief stuff? I'm
going to be honest with you, and I'm going to say not really. I think the closest that they've came to doing a decent figure is the limited edition one of Capaldi they did at the Doctor Who
that was
festival.
Lovely. Yeah, in the red velvet jacket.
Yes,
yeah.
I think that one was quite cool. But I'll be honest with you, it's the same problem with Robert Harrop, is that the face sculpt just isn't quite there. I mean, if you look at the picture of the 8th Doctor, it's you can tell that they've tried to do it very realistically, as you would expect, but it's just not there. It just doesn't look enough like him to warrant spending that amount of money. I mean, if you want to pre-order it, it's crikey, how much is it?
They're not cheap.
It's just under 200 quid. So you could buy like 3, maybe 4 Robert Harrop figures. You could
for one of those. I mean, where I'm on with these, I mean, I think they're a lovely product, but the way I would say it is, for whatever reason, they're not for me. Like I know people absolutely love these figures; they go nuts over them, and I can totally see why, because they are beautiful in their own way, and they are nicely detailed stuff. But I've never been tempted to buy one, and I don't know why. It's just there's something about them. They're just not for me. And I think you could be right about the sculpt. Maybe it's that, because some of them look really good. Some of them don't, like you said, don't quite have it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're a lovely product. Don't get me wrong. They're one of those things that if somebody, showed me, said, look at my Big Chief collection. I've got all the Doctors like the first one, and they come with so many little accessories like the first Doctor one. I mean, he looked great, the first Doctor. He had his little glasses, and, it's if I see someone's collection, I think they look great, but I've just never been tempted to buy one. There's something about them that they just don't quite appeal to me. And I think it is that thing of it's in my head. I just keep thinking it's a doll. And I don't know. It's just something about it. Yeah. But they do look nice. And as I said, they've got a massive fan base out there. I know a lot of people love these. And I think a lot of people will probably really like this 8th Doctor figure. But yeah, and also the cost as well. I think they're quite high cost. Indeed.
For what the 1/6 scale figures are an acquired taste. They've got a very large. They are very collectible, but they're very expensive. Yeah. And I did have a few 1/6 scale figures a few years ago, but they were Star Wars figures. And if any of our listeners have ever heard of a company called Sideshow Collectibles or Hot Toys, you'll know what I'm talking about. But for roughly the same price, we're talking about somewhere between 150 and £200. If you look at the face and the head sculpts from some of the Sideshow figures, they are unbelievable, some of them. And they're like Sideshow and Hot Toys. They do a lot of Star Wars and DC and Marvel and all that stuff. And some of them look so realistic and lifelike.
Yeah,
they're very, very impressive. But unfortunately, Big Chief just, for me anyway, they just don't hit the mark with the head sculpt from the neck down. They're wonderful. Like you say, the costumes are really good and detailed and screen accurate almost. But the head sculpt is just a way. It's definitely not £200 worth of 1/6 scale figure. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. They did the 10th and 11th Doctor's TARDIS last year or the year before. I forget now. And they were really big. I'm trying to find the scale of it. Is it 1.6? I'm not sure now. It's quite big, so it's sort of half my height almost.
Right.
Apparently, and they weighed a ton. And I mean, they looked amazing. I would just absolutely love to buy one of those. And they retailed for about 250 quid, I think.
Right.
If I'm looking at the right product, yeah. Well, is 1.6 scale quite good? I'm not very good with this sort of thing.
Yeah,
that is the bigger one, isn't it? So yeah, but one of the things that put me off. I mean, I hear that their customer service is excellent, but I know that they had a lot of issues with the actual product itself, which is actually what at the time when I could afford one. I can't afford one now anyway, but when I could afford one, that's what stopped me buying one, because they look fantastic, but they had a lot of issues with the quality of the product. So like wherever they were being made, a lot of the doors weren't lined up correctly, and signs weren't sort of fitted correctly and stuff like that. There was a lot of issues with them, and so many people were sending them back. And what I heard was they were excellent at getting them replaced. So, I'm not doubting their customer service. Apparently they were absolutely on the ball at getting all the issues resolved, but there were a lot of issues, and it stopped me buying one. But it's a shame because they look beautiful. Yeah, I mean, they are so well detailed and huge, and they weigh a ton. And if you ever go to Forbidden Planet in London, they've got one in the window, or at least they did have, so you can just see for yourself how nice they are. But but I've just, for that reason, I've never bought one, even when I've sort of think, I've got enough, I could get one. But yeah.
If you go onto the Big Chief Studios website, they actually sell a lot of the Sideshow and Hot Toys stuff through their website now.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, so it used to be they just did the Doctor Who and some other bits. I think they did some Jerry Anderson bits and stuff, but now they do like DC and Marvel and Star Wars and Predator and all that stuff. So they actually sell Sideshow stuff through their website. So it's just a shame that those guys haven't grabbed hold of the license for Doctor Who. So I don't know who Big Chief use for the Doctor Who, whether they do it themselves or they outsource it. I'm not sure, but anyway, the 8th Doctor is up for pre-order, not directly from Big Chief yet, but some other smaller sites have got it up for pre-order. It's out between November and December this year, apparently.
What sort of price is he? Is he about 200 quid, you say?
Well, 195.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's very expensive. So just check it out. There's a anyone in the UK, if you go to figureland.co.uk, do a search for Doctor Who on there, he'll pop up and you can see that they've got a better shot of his face on there. And so, yeah, 1/6 scale.
Yeah, if you like your Big Chief, and a lot of people do, I'm sure it'll look good in your collection.
Yeah. And lastly, for merch, this is cool.
This is, yes, love this.
This is cool. When I first saw this on... So Crystal D, who runs the Doctor Who fan show, she put a couple of pics on this on Instagram ages ago. And I think everyone was like, where'd you get this? Where'd you get it? And she didn't say anything. But so the company called, well, I've never heard of these guys before, but Rabbit Tanaka have, or going to release very shortly, a TARDIS console lava lamp. It is a lava lamp, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound really crazy, right? But I've wanted a really cool Doctor Who themed lamp to go on my desk for ages. And I just haven't found a decent one yet. But this one, I think, could be the one.
It's very simplistic, but I love it.
It's great, isn't
it's
it?
Basically, so it's just a lava lamp, and they basically just shoved like a very basic, it's the 12th Doctor's console around it, basically. So it looks like the 12th Doctor's console. I mean, there's detail on it, but it's all one colour. So it's all grey or silver.
Yeah.
And then you got the lava lamp in the middle where the time road would be. So yeah, very, very simple idea. Amazed that no one's thought of this before. Never heard of this company. But looking at the packaging, it's like the blue and yellow packaging. So I'm guessing, yes, it's officially licensed by the BBC. Must be.
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, just like you, Gary, as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, what's this? Want it. Now for the bad news. So far, it's only available in the US, in America, which is great for our American listeners. But there is no UK distributor for this product at the moment, which is slightly disappointing. So I'm sure there will be a way to get it whenever it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know when it's out? I mean, it seems like
No.
If it's in the fan show, I mean, they're obviously trying to promote it. They've obviously given them one to sort of promote it. But yeah, there's no UK distribution for this product at the minute. But I'm sure it's got to make its way over, hasn't it? At some point,
it will do. I'm sure. Yeah.
It must.
Yeah. If you've seen the recent episode of the fan show on YouTube where Crystal D has got Pearl and the Moth on, it's in the background a lot, so you can see it quite. It's got some prominent placement in the video, and it looks it's really nice, like this orangey color, isn't it? It's surprising really, because it hasn't got that sort of greeny bluey glow from the normal TARDIS central column. It's got this really nice, it almost looks like it's like they've chosen the color based on the Doctor's regeneration energy. It's got that orangey kind of color glow to it, but it looks really nice just in the background, just little blobs of oil drifting up and down. It's lovely. Yeah.
And I was thinking, if they can, they could, as long as they don't miss a trick here, they could do lots of consoles, couldn't they? So maybe they could have interchangeable, because it looks like that base would just pop off. So it'd be great if they did, like imagine getting like all the other Doctor's consoles that you can just slip the lamp into, because it's basically just the time rotor bit, isn't it, the actual lava lamp. So it'd be great if they did like interchangeable consoles that you could just pick your TARDIS console. I would love that. If they're listening, I want some royalties for that idea.
That's a great idea though, mate. You just be able to because like you said,
slip off the old 12th Doctor one, and
so the console that goes around sort of the lower third bit of the central column is just all one molded piece. It's detailed, but it's like you said, it's all one color. It's quite simplistic, but that's but I don't mind that. I think
it works.
Yeah, it does work. And it's out summer this year.
How much is it?
We don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because that will be the as long as it's not too expensive. But it's a lovely product. But yeah, I'm sure somebody out here will get it. I mean, I'm the first to moan like, oh, why do the US get everything? But the simple fact is, it's because no distributor in the UK is willing to take this stuff on. It's as simple as that. It's because at the minute Doctor Who's not viable in the UK distributors' eyes to sell this stuff. But that's why the US are doing it, because obviously for them, they consider it viable to market and produce the stuff. So, before we say, oh, why do they get everything? It's just because it sells in America. And over here, the merchandise side of things has slid off. That's why they're getting it and we're not. But hopefully it'll find its way over.
Yeah. So I would keep an eye out on either. I mean, we'll let you guys know when this pops up to order in the UK. But I would keep an eye out on Amazon and Forbidden Planet International. I would say.
Yes.
Indeedy. And I think that's going to. So, yes, that's going to do for merch. We're sold out.
Yeah.
No more merch. So I think, Adam,
the time has come.
The time has come. The time for heroes.
Yeah.
What are we going to do this week?
Yes, at last, Series 10 is upon us. And I'm very excited that we're getting to review the Series 10 opener called The Pilot.
No, this is hard to believe. I know you're not exactly a sci-fi person.
Time and relative dimension in space. TARDIS for short.
You're safe in here. You're safe in here and you always will be.
Any questions?
Is this a knock-through?
Well, in a way, yes.
Look at this place. It's like a...
Spaceship.
kitchen.
What?
A really posh kitchen, all metal. What happened with the doors, though? Do you run out of money?
What you are standing in is a technological marvel. It is science beyond magic. This is the gateway to everything that ever was, or ever can be.
Can I use the toilet?
The pilot.
Yes.
So, obviously, released in April 2017. And it was written by the Moff, and it was directed by Lawrence Goff. Goff? Go. Goff? I'm going to say
that as it's spelled.
I'm going to say Goff. Gough.
Yeah.
Goff.
Goff.
Goff. Yes, very small cast, this one. And the opening story to Series 10, which we've waited what feels like forever.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Well over a year, isn't it? Year and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, story is we are introduced to a new companion, and the Doctor is seemingly retired. Well, retired from being a time-travelling hero, it seems, anyway, and is now a tutorer. Professor,
yeah.
A professor at Bristol University in Cardiff. And Bill Potts, who actually works in the university canteen, has been going along to his lectures free of charge, very cheeky to all the people who have to pay university fees. And the Doctor singles her out because when everyone else is frowning and scratching their head at all the difficult stuff and stuff they don't know, Bill is smiling because she clearly likes the challenge of, stuff that she doesn't know about and absorbing knowledge, etc. So the Doctor picks her to sort of privately tutor her, but as the story progresses, she gets herself into a bit of trouble with this girl called Heather, and the Doctor starts investigating it as well. And then they discover that, yes, a mysterious alien force has possessed this girl Heather, and then starts a hot pursuit across time and space, which kind of gets solved, I'm going to say, fairly easily.
Yeah.
In the end. And then it sets up what's to become a Series 10 with the Doctor and Bill. And Nardole.
And Nardole. Nardole.
Yeah. Nardole. So, the pilot, mate. What did you think to this one?
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I was so relieved because, like I said, having seen all the amazing feedback, I didn't want to go into it with too high hopes. And also, I suppose because I wasn't over impressed with a lot of Series 9, my expectations were massively lowered for Series 10. So yes, I wouldn't say it was perfect, but I think as an introductory episode for Bill, the new companion, I thought it worked brilliantly, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, I've watched it twice now. I watched it a couple of times because I think the first time I watched it, I wasn't 100% sure what was going on with the whole paddle thing. So I wouldn't say, because it is quite a simple storyline, but it didn't quite make sense to me, some of it, on a first watch. So I did need to give it another watch before we reviewed it. So I watched it twice. And if anything, I think I enjoyed it more the second time. Because I just kind of sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed it the second time, rather than being like, what's coming up? Is this working? Sort of analysing it a bit the first time. So, yeah, I thought it was a very nice introduction to Bill. And I do think the Moff's done exactly what he wanted to, in that it definitely felt fresh to me. When the Moffat said he wanted to, this whole thing about calling it the pilot and, making it a jumping on point for new viewers and all that, I wasn't sure how well the Moffat was going to carry that off. I'll be honest with you, because I think he said stuff like that before, and then we get the same old Moffat tropes, and so I wasn't really convinced it was going to be that fresh, but it really, to me, it did. on the whole, there's a few bits which, as we get into, which didn't quite work, and also that didn't make it feel fresh. But on the whole, I think he did what he wanted to do, and I think it felt new. It did feel really fresh, and I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Cool.
What about you, mate?
Yeah. I didn't like it, mate.
You didn't like it?
No, I did.
You little liar. You little liar.
I thought this was just a fantastic episode of Who. And one of the things that I felt because I've seen this 3 times now.
Yeah.
And after each viewing, I had the same feeling straight away afterwards, and that was relief. And as soon as I felt that relief, I then had empathy for the Moth, because of everybody around the world watching it thinking, oh, yes, we're back on track. I then immediately thought, well, of all the people with a lot riding on it and, the weight of the Who fandom on their shoulders, that must have been the Moth. Because of everybody involved, he must have been thinking, well, this is my swan song. This has got to go well. Otherwise, this is going to haunt me forever. So, and you know what? It's just a real shame that he didn't have this kind of vision in his head a year or so ago. Because we needed this fresh take on Who,
definitely,
at least a year ago, if not before. Yeah. So I'm not taking anything away from the previous series like 8 and 9, because although they weren't perfect, and especially series 9, it did, it wasn't great, let's be honest, there were some good elements in there.
Oh yeah.
There were some good stuff. So I don't want to take anything away from that. However, this definitely feels like a clean, it's remarkable, because it's almost like we have a new showrunner. It almost feels like the Moth has gone and someone else is doing it. It does have its Moffatisms in there, but it does feel so fresh, and I think that's largely down to Bill. To the character Bill. I think we'll come on to in a little bit, but all of the feelings, because when we first spoke about Bill, when we released that teaser trailer with the Daleks and stuff.
Oh yeah, and I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, us included, were like, oh.
She's really annoying, and thankfully, yes. I mean, that was in the episode, but they kind of cut it right down, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's hardly any of that was actually in it, thank goodness, yeah.
Yeah, so we did think, she seems a bit annoying already, and, this is not going to bode well because we've had this before. But you know what, mate? She just nailed it. She absolutely nailed that part.
Yeah, I just instantly just loved her. I thought I liked the way she was written, and because Moffat gets bashed a lot for the way he writes women, but I thought but it is down to her performance as well, because she is, and she said this at the panel I went to the other week. She is a very inexperienced actor. She said that scene where she's with the Doctor in his study or whatever. She said that's the most time she's ever spent in front of a camera. A TV camera. She said she hasn't really done any TV work, so she knocked it out of the park. You watching that, you would not see. I'm not looking at that thinking, oh dear, she's theatre, isn't she? Which is what I was expecting, because she is a theatre actor, and in that scene that we did get the preview clip last year, that's what came across. I thought, oh no, she seems like, she does seem really like wooden, and I don't know about her. But no, I thought she was absolutely amazing in the episode. She definitely makes the episode. I mean, if you take her out of it, it is a bit flimsy in terms of the plot and stuff. But she really makes the episode, I think. I just want to quickly go back to what you're saying about the Moth, because 2 things strike me about that. You said if only you'd done this for series 9. I suppose there's 2 factors here. One, he thought series 9 was going to be his last. He was kind of forced to stay on to do series 10 because Chibbers isn't ready, wasn't he? He didn't really want to do series 10, but he had to. Well, he didn't have to, but he was sort of asked to, and sort of, well, okay then. So this is the series he sort of didn't plan to do. But I think it could be, if he, hopefully this is, this level of quality will remain, and it could be his saviour, because I think if he'd have left after series 9, everybody was bashing them off pretty much, and some of it deserved and some of it not. But the other thing that strikes me is, because we got Bill, and it did feel so fresh having this great new companion, it does make me wonder if Jenna Coleman's not a lot to blame as well, because she said she was leaving at the end of Series 8. He wrote her out and she changed her mind 2 or 3 times. I mean, the Moff has actually said that. He said, she said she was leaving, then she said she wanted to stay. She did it twice, I think, didn't she?
Yep.
She was going to leave at the Christmas. Then she said, oh, actually, I'd like to do one more series. So I can't help but feel if Jenna Coleman had just gone when she said she was going to and not changed her mind 100 times and stayed for another series. I was going to say something else, but keep it clean. But yeah, if she'd have gone and the Moff had got a new companion for Series 9, it does make me wonder if we'd have got, a fresh feel to Series 9, and maybe we would have had a better series. I think we would have. So I think there's 2 factors there. And I think, I do think having Jenna stay on for another series, her decision, did make, it just, I think we got sick of Clara, and I think it's a shame actually, because now having seen what the Moff's now done with this bringing this new companion on board, it does make me wish she'd left and we'd have got this series last year and then another hopefully amazing series with Capaldi. But that's speculation. That's not what happened. So it's no point thinking it. But do you know what I mean? There's 2 factors there. There's Jenna staying, and there's the Moff wanting to leave but being asked to stay on to do this series. And for him, I think it might. We don't know what's going to happen, but for him, it could be a saving grace for him. I think people are already saying, "Oh, the Moff's pulled it out the bag and he's back on track now." And I mean, we've only got 1 episode to say that, but if it carries on like this, then we're on to a winner.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If the rest of the series continues with this quality and so on, then it will. Because he was kind of dangling by a thread, wasn't he? It almost felt like. If you were to symbolize it, you had all of Doctor Who, well, a large portion of Doctor Who fandom standing underneath a very, very thin sheet of ice. And the Moff was standing on it with cracks appearing under his feet.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it does feel like, this could just completely 180 all of that, and he's going to go down as a hero.
Well, hopefully, because his last story, if it had been gone to his plan, would have been The Husbands of River Song, wouldn't it? That was his. Yes. He intended that to be the last story that he wrote, unless he come back and did the odd one for the new showrunner. Thank goodness, because I personally cannot stand that episode. I find it almost unwatchable, and believe me, I've gone back to it just to see if sometimes I think maybe I just wasn't in the mood, but I can't bear that episode. So I'm so glad that he was persuaded to stay on for another series, because even just this 1 episode has redeemed him quite a lot in my eyes. Just the fact that he's done what he said he wanted to do, because very often the Moff's very good at spurting off all this stuff about what he's going to do, and he does come out with the same old thing sometimes. The Doctor's going to fall harder than he's ever fallen before, and all this sort of thing. He does have a tendency to say these things and then the payoff is never there. But he said he was going to give it a fresh feel, and he's certainly done it. So I've got to tip my hat to them off and say, well done. You've anybody could have watched that episode on Saturday and got into it. They didn't need to know anything about Doctor Who, but there was loads of bits in there for Doctor Who fans.
Yes.
So I think he did a really good job. I mean, you've got to agree with me. You've got to compare it a bit to Rose. I think the episode Rose, when Russell brought it back, it's definitely got that same sort of introductory feel, but there's enough in there for Doctor Who fans as well.
Right, yeah. That's what I thought as well. It's enough of a fresh start, because we don't have any of that leftover stuff from the previous series.
Yeah.
So like you say, anyone could have jumped on and thought this is just a great bit of sci-fi or drama, whatever genre you want to put it in. But there was these little nuggets throughout, wasn't there? So if you were a long-term Who fan, especially of classic Who, I might say, there wasn't much in there for Who from. Well, there was a few bits in there from modern Who, but there was quite a bit in there from classic Who in terms of little nuggets, wasn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
So the Doctor's office was pretty cool, and we had some. I think this is what you meant on the last show.
I didn't want to say too much. Yeah, that's the scene we got to see, was the study room.
Right. So I remember you saying that it would have been nice to not see all of the little bits in the room. So so early. you said you didn't want to speak about it too early because.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't want to say what they were,
Yeah,
but yeah, we
yeah.
got basically you got like a he's got a cup with all the Doctor's different Sonics in, which I absolutely love that.
That's awesome,
So
isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought, oh, what a lovely touch. And then you got the picture of River and the picture of Susan on his desk. Now, when I first saw that clip, I didn't want to talk about it last week because I didn't want to ruin it for anybody, but now we can freely talk about it. I loved it. I know some people are a bit like, oh, but it's tacky, isn't it? Or it's fan service. No, I don't care. I thought it was lovely. Especially the Sonics. I was really I was yaying in my seat. I was like, oh, I love that.
That was awesome. I thought when I first saw that, this little, he's got his Sonics in a pen organizer, hasn't he? A little pen.
That's it. Yeah.
And anyone that goes in that office, well, Bill did it, didn't she? She had a quick glance at the holder with all the Sonics in, and she must have thought, okay, I have no idea what they are. But for us as long-term viewers, like that's what I mean by, if you're into classic Who, because he had a picture of Susan on the desk,
which I loved. Yeah,
and also her indoors.
Yeah,
So I'm not really sure about River really being on. I don't know. He obviously.
No, I would. I'm not bothered about the River picture. I could have done without that. But just the Susan one, I absolutely love the fact he's got Susan on his desk.
Yes.
And I think is it the first time she's been referenced in the new series, or it felt like it. I don't know. I might be wrong, but it was just lovely to see that and actually have a reference to Susan in the series because I've been wanting, like Capaldi himself, I've been wanting Susan to come back in the show for. Well, forever since it came back. I'd love to see Susan come back, and I think Capaldi's the Doctor to do it with. But whether we'll actually see that or not, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe she'll pop in.
Yeah,
for a cup of
I'm
tea.
not bothered about River though. River can stay, away. But Susan, I'd love to see. What was the other thing? We got the TARDIS out of order sign, which was in the same font as. So what's that from? Is it the War Machines? I forget now. It's when the Doctor comes out. The first Doctor comes out and puts it on the TARDIS door. I think it's War Machines, isn't it?
Oh, the War Machines, yes. Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
So that was a nice touch. And that was the second scene we got to see in the panel. Again, I didn't want to say too much, but that was the bit where Bill steps inside the TARDIS and the camera pans back to that beautiful shot of the concert. That was the other scene we got to see. And what a scene, eh? Wasn't that just beautifully shot?
Yes.
Well done, director Lawrence Goff stroke goof Lawrence Goff, beautifully shot, and Capaldi just absolutely on fire as the Doctor doing the whole time. And you notice he makes a point of saying time dimension rather than dimensions, because apparently that's changed quite a lot over the years. It's time and relative dimension in space. He's very clear. It's
singular.
Yeah, because a lot of people say dimensions, and in the show it's been said as dimensions. So what a scene now, eh?
Yeah.
When she first comes in TARDIS.
Oh, it's really cool because we have
love it.
We have that every time a new companion joins the show. We have to have that little bit where they see the inside of the TARDIS for the first time, don't they? And it's all. And I think we said like how are they going to keep it fresh?
Keep it fresh
because it is like it's almost with some programs there's almost a thing that you have to have in there. It's like expected to be there. So you expect them to say it's bigger on the inside than it is on, But how do you keep that little bit fresh? How do you make it different? And I think they did it really well with this one because I know Nada was involved and it was a bit goofy and it was a bit funny, but her initial reaction is just hilarious. Like, is it a knock through?
Yeah, I love that.
Is it a kitchen? It's just so fresh and something that is just unexpected because people normally have this almost shock. They're almost going to pass out. They can't believe what they're seeing. Their mind can't comprehend what they're seeing, but she's just not fazed at all. She's, it's like, well, it obviously wouldn't be a spaceship, would it? Because that's ridiculous. So it has to be some kind of secret room that looks like a kitchen, I suppose. So I thought that was, another example of the Moff just throwing everything out the window and just doing what he wants to do for his last series.
Yeah, absolutely. I just adored that scene. I love it as well. And also, nice bit of chemistry there, I thought, with Nardole and the Doctor, because she finally says it, doesn't she? She's like, hey, it's bigger on the inside, the outside. They're like, hey. I thought, okay, I'm totally seeing how this TARDIS team is going to work. I can see it now. Like, I think, I'll put my hand up. Like when Matt Lucas was announced he's going to be, a full-time companion and all that back in a year ago. And I was a bit like, oh, is that going to work? Like, I couldn't see it. But just those little moments between the Doctor and Nardole and then Bill, I can see it now. I can see this TARDIS team coming together and the humour, but also the fact that they sort of looking out for each other already in one episode. I thought, I'm really liking this new TARDIS team. It's the Donna thing all over again, isn't it? It's, it's like when Catherine Tate was announced. I'll admit it. Yeah. I was like, oh, I like Catherine Tate, but no, not full time, definitely not. And yet she's one of my favourite companions of the new series, and it's happening again. I said, Matt Lucas or Bill Mackey, what, is this going to work? It's going by this episode, totally working. I love the new TARDIS team. Yeah, I like having 3 as well. It's good. It makes me feel like the old classic series of having this bigger TARDIS team and them all doing different things, and I just loved it. Yeah. No,
I see where you're coming from. As soon as you had that chemistry between the 3 of them, because you had a bunch of scenes before with just the Doctor and Bill, and that was really good. And then we had the first bit of Nardole, didn't we, where he brings her into the Doctor's office.
Yeah, and he's a bit robotic, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of squeaking like a robot, and then that bolt falls out from somewhere. And, so you had this thing with Nardole to begin with, and then you had Bill and the Doctor.
What was going on there? Because I must admit, the first time I watched the first watching of this, because it's a silent start, isn't it? Which again is so unusual. It's not like normally the Moff brings in it all guns blazing, and then that's how an episode normally starts. So it was such a quiet start to the episode, wasn't it? In fact, it was silent, wasn't it?
It was.
It's silent at first, isn't it? Yeah. He just walks in and shows her to her desk, and such an unusual way to start the episode. But I didn't really pick up on it the first time. But the second time I watched it, I was like really thinking, okay, that's quite an unusual way to open the episode, actually, and I really like it. But I don't know why he's so robotic in that first scene, because he's not like it for the rest, is it? It's just,
and you hear
that
it
beginning.
Well. You hear the actual, and then the bolt falls out of his
so funny
trousers or whatever. So you immediately think, right then, so Nardole's a robot, a cyborg of some description.
I'm guessing he is, I
suppose. Yeah. Well, that does make sense, because he was only a head before, wasn't he?
That's right.
So yeah. So the TARDIS team, you can absolutely see why the Moff wanted to do that, and everyone thought this is nuts, So just especially that bit where she first says it. Oh, it's bigger on the, and he's like, yay, and they're like high fiving, and that was cool.
It was, it was really nice.
Let's talk about the look and feel then. So I would say, in terms of, because as Who has gone through each series, they've always, especially since I would say Matt Smith's era, they've always tried to do very, very cinematic looking episodes, and especially series 7, I would say, they do look like mini films.
Yeah.
And I think this one was just shot beautifully.
Yeah.
Some of I would say that most of the scenes, apart from the little scenes that just link together, like when you see Bill just walking down the path and she sees the Doctor and Nardole running off, or just walking in between a fence, even they were good, but it had some real key moments which just blew me away. So the first one that came to mind was where she sees Heather in the nightclub.
Oh yeah, and it's sort of that speeds up,
and the outside music becomes sort of muffled out, and and the camera sort of moves round in this Matrix style, sort of thing, and it's just really nice. And then a bit where Heather is outside looking at the puddle for the second time, and it's like sunset, and it's all nicely orange lit, and it's really nice. And then that scene we were talking about with Bill in the TARDIS, where the camera pulls back and all the lights come on inside the TARDIS, and all that stuff. And then as we were going through the different locations, like when they go to Sydney, Australia, and this alien world at the edge of the universe and stuff, it just looks, I don't know how you feel about that, but I just thought, bloody hell, they've ramped it up even further from the last couple of series. It just looks really good.
I thought, I thought it was the whole thing. I thought the whole production looked lovely. Yeah, really did like it. I mean, the alien planet, I liked that as well. And my partner was a bit like, "No, that's a bit tacky." And I said, "No, I like it because it sort of reminds me of the old Star Trek." In fact, what I'm trying to say is that they kept it simple. So, I suppose some people might look at it and say, "Wow, what's that?" Just having the plants and the sort of background. But I liked it. It seemed very classic feeling to me. And yeah, like you said, I just thought the whole episode really looked brilliant. I mean, there were some great shots, like when we see Heather's face in the puddle, when they're on that alien planet. I mean, very simple, but so, well done. And my God, even the second time I watched this story, that bit where she grabs Bill and tries to pull her into the puddle, that made me jump. Both times I watched it, even though I knew it's coming the second time, it still makes me jump. It's horrific when she grabs her face and she's trying to pull her down. I was like, whoa, that's proper, jump out your seat moment. But no, I thought the episode looked brilliant. I thought, like you said, I think they've really, gone to town. And I mean, especially when the Moff writes stuff in the script, like they land in Australia, I bet they're thinking, oh my God, how are we going to do that on our budget? But it looked good to me. It all just flowed, and in terms of the style of the the pieces, I thought it was a really nice looking episode, and very well directed actually from Lawrence Gurgov. There were a couple of bits on the first watch which I found a bit clunky in terms of the way it was edited together. Don't know if you felt that, like it seemed almost like some scenes had been chopped up and put in the wrong order, but I strangely didn't feel it on a second watch. I don't know if that makes sense, but first time I watched it did feel a little bit clunky, a little bit back and forth. I think it was just the Doctor's. It was when we cut to the Christmas bit, actually. I remember thinking, what's going on? And then the next scene was just sort of Bill walking, and I don't know, it seemed slightly clunky in places, but only a little bit. But I didn't feel it so much the second time. I think it just flowed more the second time I watched it.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. The Christmas bit did throw me a little, though. I was a bit like, what? But it's just showing time passing, obviously. But that it seemed quite a not stilted, but quite a quiet scene for that time in the episode. When I thought normally we'd be sort of picking up a bit now, and it was just them sat around, just talking actually. But as I said, the second time I watched it, I just loved it. I think it was just on the first watch, I was sort of. My head was thinking, well, the pacing's a bit off here. Shouldn't we be sort of ramping up the episode a bit? But but it was a lovely scene, actually. I mean, the bit where the Doctor goes and gets the photographs taken of her mum, I thought, what a brilliant idea. I was almost in tears. I was just like, the Doctor goes and takes photos of her mum so that she's got some. I thought, I loved that. I thought Pearl Mackie was amazing in that scene, and such a short scene as well. But it just added to making it even more likable. I just thought.
Yes, no, I agree, mate. Yeah,
great little moment. Yeah,
and in terms of cinematography and editing, it was all really, really well done. I thought and then some of the thing I liked about this particular episode was that, to me, it felt like this might sound kind of obvious, but it felt like a really good collection of just key scenes.
Yeah.
So I know that's what that's essentially what a TV program or a film is, but I just felt like it was blocked out really well. So we had when you go and see a play, you've got like the first act, and then you have the interval, and then your final act, and so on. It felt like that. It felt like we had the first. It felt like a story you would plan out for a trilogy, a trilogy of films almost, because we had the first act where we got to know Bill. So, she goes to talk to the Doctor about learning stuff, because we find out she just works in the canteen, and he asks, she says about, wanting to learn and all that stuff. And then the middle part of it was her sort of dipping her toe in the water, no pun intended, with sort of a bit of adventure going on. And then and then us finding out what's going on with the Doctor, because we have the mysterious vault and we don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
And then the final act is like the sort of ramps up to the finale, where we have like the action stuff where they're being chased across time and space. And, it's quite emotional, the ending part. And then that's it. And then that kind of sets the precedence then for the remaining series, I hope, because at the very end we have that bit where the Doctor's obviously made a promise of some kind or has agreed something with somebody to not be the Doctor in that way anymore. But then he just sort of, at the end, he's like, TARDIS stands for what the hell?
Yeah.
And he's almost, it's, inviting Bill to go off and travel and have adventures again. And then we're off again. So it really did felt like, I know this episode was 50 minutes, was it? I think.
Yeah, 45, 50, yeah.
Yeah, but it felt like there was so much in there. It felt like a lot longer. It really did feel like a film.
So I think that's why it was better on the second watch, because there is all these bits that I missed the first time, like that, like the fact he sort of promised someone he won't travel or whatever, because I totally missed all that on the first watch.
Right.
And then the second time I was like, oh, okay, so there's loads of stuff to take from it from repeat viewing, which is something you don't always get from the Moffat. Sometimes he just throws stuff in there that's great on a first watch, but then when you watch it again the second time, you're like, it just kind of falls apart in front of your eyes, if you know what I mean. Whereas in this episode, that wasn't the case. There's actually loads of little nuggets in there for you to sort of find if you watch it again and again. I've got to say, I mean, I've never been a fan of the whole shut up thing that the 12th Doctor does, but I absolutely loved that end scene.
Oh yeah,
when he looks at River's picture, he's like, "Oh, you can shut up." And he looks at Susie, he's like, "Shut up." And then the TARDIS is like, he's like, "Oh, not you as well." And he's just all around him, all the things he loves around it, just telling him, he's, what are you doing? And I thought that was just brilliant, because he was going to do the mind erase thing, wasn't he?
Wipe. Yep.
Mind wipe on Bill, and I liked her reaction to that as well, because again it was different. She was, one minute she's like, I know what you're doing, like she's no fool, and she was like, I know exactly what you're gonna do, but just I just thought it was a great scene. She's like, but just imagine if someone did it to you. Go on then. And because she was so honest with him, I think he just couldn't bring himself to do it. And again, I just thought that was such a nice way of twisting that around, something the Doctor's done before, but doing it in a different way. I thought that was a brilliant end scene between the two of them, but particularly the bit with the Doctor arguing with all the TARDIS and the photos. Fantastic.
Yeah. Because that was quite annoying, wasn't it, in the previous episode?
Oh, I didn't like it at all in the other one when he kept saying shut up. It just seemed so out of place, but in this context it worked, because he's talking to an inanimate object. It's like, oh, shut up, like we all do, like don't look at me like that. I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. It was awesome.
And I've just got to say, the music when Bill runs into the TARDIS at the end, I'm assuming it's our good old Murray Gold.
It is, yep.
It really just like ends the episode amazingly. That end scene, which again, it reminds me of Rose running into the TARDIS at the end of her episode. It reminded me of that, but it's so brilliantly done. But Murray's music in that bit was great. It's like guitar music, wasn't it? Like dun dun dun, dun dun. Yeah, it really just built up to an amazing end scene. To talk about leave you wanting more.
I'm glad you mentioned the music, because once again, Murray Gold has taken a different direction with this series than we've heard before. So with the Eccleston and the Tennant stuff, that had a distinct feel to it. And then when Matt Smith came along, that had a feel to it. And then he did the same with when Capaldi came along. But even though Capaldi's still here and we still have the same intro theme and all the rest of it, this music is definitely different than what we've had for Series 8 and 9 in terms of its feel. And I really, really loved the music for this. I thought Bill's theme was really nice.
Yeah. Is that the sort of violin-y? There was a sort of a very strange piece of music, because I wasn't sure which bit was Bill's theme, and I've heard a few people saying how good it was, but again, I seem to have missed it. Oh, this. Ah, right.
Yeah, Bill's theme.
Yeah.
Really, really nice.
Okay.
Really cool. And then some of the other music as well, just like when they're in, when she's having that conversation with the Doctor as well, about when she notices that the rug's underneath the TARDIS. And,
that was good.
And all that, and then, like that scene at the end as well, where the music really ramps up with the guitar and the drums.
There was a real nice, unusual bit of music. Because at one point I wondered if they'd got different composers in, or I was thinking, okay, that's definitely Murray, but is this Murray? There was a bit that was this weird, I don't know if it's a violin or it's like a strange, just sort of instrument. very atmospheric. I think it might be when they go to the planet. I'm not too sure.
Yes.
Do you know the bit it's just like it's just very it's very unusual and very un-Murray-like. But I thought, I like that. Whatever that is, it's really unusual.
But that's what I mean though. Murray Gold has taken a definite turn of direction for this series in terms of music. And I really like it. And what's frustrating me the most is that I fear that it's going to be ages because we still haven't got the soundtrack released.
We haven't got 9.
The 9, have we?
No.
Because I know that the BBC sold all the rights to BMG. So there was a bit of a thing there that's maybe holding it up. But I think, how long is it going to be before we get Series 10? Because we still haven't got 9.
Unless they do, because I think in Series 1 they did 1 and 2 together. Maybe they'll do 9 and 10 together as a double set. Maybe would be good. I'm glad you like the music though, because one of the few negative things I've sort of read online and stuff about this episode is people criticising the music, and I wasn't too sure why. Because I thought it worked really well. But I've heard a few people saying that the music seemed very out of place at times. I think even listening to the Proctor Who guys yesterday, I think a couple of those guys mentioned that they found some of the music good and some of it really awful. And I was thinking, oh, okay. Because even the second time I watched it, I was sort of more conscious of it. And I couldn't pick out any bit that I thought was bad. I actually thought the music was pretty good. The only thing I would say, as much as I love the 12th Doctor's theme, it is in danger of becoming like the 11th Doctor's theme, of getting overused. It's like as soon as the Doctor's running off somewhere or there's a bit of action, it kicks in. It's almost like someone just putting the record on, dun, 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 and I'm like, okay, I do love that bit of music, but please don't overuse it, or at least do a variation of it, Murray, because it does, you know what I mean? The 12th Doctor's theme, it's just in danger of becoming like dun 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 dun.
I know what you mean.
It's just getting a little bit, because it's when he runs off to the vault, isn't it? It just kicks in straight away. You get the chair spinning, and it's how's 12th Doctor? Yeah. And I was like, okay, I do like the theme, but just don't kill it, because it's a good piece of music.
Yeah, I agree totally, mate. Because although I still really love that I Am the Doctor from this era, it does, well, it was overplayed. Let's not beat around the bush. It
definitely.
Was.
Yeah.
So, let's use that sparingly. Sparingly. And one thing I did like, though, in terms of music, is at the very end, you know that bit where he's at his desk and he's telling Susan to shut up and River to shut up? There was that little tiny bit of music, which is his... I think it's just called the Doctor's theme, or Am I a Good Man? I think it's called Am I a Good Man? They just had that little tiny bit of it in there. And then that's all they had, though. So they didn't overuse it. They didn't go nuts with it. It was just that little bit that was needed to remind you that this is Capaldi's Doctor. Just that tiny little bit. There's only like 3 seconds long.
I like how Murray does that. He just puts in the little bit, just enough for you to pick it out.
Yeah. But in terms of music, I've got no complaints at all. I don't know where all the criticism has come. I mean, let's look at it from this point of view. The music has to be different, because if the Moff is going to go in a different direction with all the characters and make it feel fresh and so on, there's no point having leftover music or similar music to what we've heard before, is there? So if everything else is going to change, then we've got to have that change as well. Otherwise, it's just, why is Murray here?
Yeah, that's true. You know? I did pick out as a bit of Clara's theme as well. Did you notice when when he decides not to wipe Bill's mind? Clara's theme tune played a bit, and I was like, what? What is Clara's theme? But because he sort of almost gives her a little punch on the chin, doesn't he? A bit strange. But I did notice that, and I did wonder why. I was thinking, what's Clara's theme playing for? Because I don't want her coming back. I noticed there's a big raven on his desk as well. Did you notice that?
There is. Yep.
Oh, I don't want her popping back up in the final.
Here we go.
She's going to win. Anyway, let's not go there. But yeah, I did notice that creeping in. We were wondering if we were going to get a new theme tune or opening credits. We didn't. They're the same.
That's annoying for me.
I just don't like that theme. I've never liked Wales' theme. But I guess the Moff's just thinking, it's my last series. Why change it now? I get why they've kept it. But I just don't like that theme tune. that version of the theme tune. I mean,
you can kind of see because you think let's use that money for something else. But
absolutely, yeah.
But at the same time, I think we've said it since it first came on. We're just not a huge fan of that version.
I thought it would grow on me. I honestly I kept thinking it'll grow on me, but it never has.
It hasn't.
No.
Let's talk about a couple of story elements then before we jump into finish off with characters. What did you think to the overall story in terms of using the Daleks very lightly? Because this is the first time in my knowledge since 2005 where we've had a Dalek story, but they've just been used, as a plot mechanism for something else. This is normally when you see we know about a Dalek story because it's hyped up beforehand and they're used as the main feature in the story. That's the Doctor Who's most prominent monster, if you like. In this one, though, they were used just as little plot mechanisms to get them there to have that conversation between Bill and Heather.
Yeah.
They were used very lightly, which is I'm pretty sure it's the first time that's been done.
I don't know how I feel about it, actually, because in many ways I like it because I thought this was going to be another Dalek story. So I'm so glad that it wasn't, because I think we've just had enough of that. It does make me think that it's true. I mean, we don't know, but it does make me think that it's true that the Daleks are contractually obliged to be in every series. That maybe the Moff just thought that's a good way of having them in the series. Just get it out of the way in the first episode. So if that is true about the obligation to have them in, I thought it was a good way to use them. It did seem a bit. I don't know. It didn't quite work for me, but yeah, I don't know. It was fine. I mean, I just thought. I guess it's because we had the Movellans in there. It was so brief, and I was quite looking forward to seeing what that was about, and it turned out to be about nothing. I suppose a little bit of me's disappointed in that. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of the Movellans, and also having the Movellans with those Daleks bugged me slightly because I'm like, it's the wrong Daleks, really. But I guess it could be. I don't know. So there's a bit of conflict in my mind. But to be honest with you, it didn't bother me, and I did love the way that the Dalek dissolved into the water. Beautiful effect, and it worked as a plot device. Let's put it that way. I thought it worked as a plot device. I thought it was quite well done, actually.
Yeah, cool. No, I agree. I thought it was, again, a nice new touch to have the Daleks have a part to play, but they weren't the main focus of the story.
Definitely.
So, and you know what, mate? I had the same thought as well. I thought, well, if it's true that they, under contract, they have to make an appearance in every series, then that is a great way to, not to undermine their importance in Who, history and, their, capability as a good monster. But it is a good way of sort of, right, there you go. You've had your bit of screen time. Now let's crack on with the story and get some other, fresh things going. I'm not saying they won't make another appearance. They probably will pop up again at some point in the series, I'm guessing. Maybe. But it was a good way to say, right, there you go. You've had your screen time for the series. Now bugger off. We're going to do some other stuff. So,
and also great idea because obviously the Heather's got that star in her eye. Brilliant idea to have the Dalek eye as that. That works. That's a real nice touch. Actually, but there was, just before we move on, there was some great jumpy bits in this as well. I thought some good scare moments, like the bit where she sees the eye in the plug hole.
Oh, gosh,
again, I thought that was pretty scary.
Creepy.
I loved all that stuff going on. A little bit Waters of Mars as well, wasn't it? The way that Heather was.
Oh yeah.
Did it remind you a bit of Waters of Mars?
It did.
Yeah,
which comes onto a theory I've got in a little while.
Yep. Oh yeah, go on. Yeah.
But yeah, so we have the bit that made me jump every time I watched it. I know you had it with the bit where her hand comes out the puddle and grabs Bill's face.
Yeah.
I had it where Bill's coming out of the university and she sees Heather. It's at night under the tree, and they had that conversation where they just repeat each other. And then there's that bit where Heather lurches forward really quickly at the camera. That did it for me. And I remember at that point, my wife was like, "Oh my God." And, my wife, she pooped herself a little bit. And you know what? When I thought about that, I thought, yes, Doctor Who is back to scaring folk.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, it shouldn't be to the point where it's traumatizing people, not like a horror film, but it does need to walk that line, doesn't it? I feel where it's kind of scary, but not scary enough that you turn it off because you're going to have nightmares too much. And I really like that. So the bit where you very first see, because you know that scene where Bill goes back to the puddle and Heather's already there.
Yeah.
And then by the time Bill goes round the fence and everything, Heather's disappeared. But Bill doesn't know that she's gone inside the puddle. And then when you first see her, she's got that traumatized, like petrified scream face in the puddle.
Yeah.
Again, my wife was like, oh God, I'm not sure I like this. This is going a bit creepy for me. And immediately I thought, yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're scared because this is exactly what Who needs to be.
Yeah.
It needs to walk that line, doesn't it? Between it's not scary enough.
Not graphic. Just enough to put the idea in yet. Yeah. No, that's a great scene actually. Did you think the voice, you know, like when it was going, pilot detected.
Yes. My theory.
Did you not think that was the Ice Warriors? Because I did.
Of course it is. Come on.
It is.
Of
you
course.
reckon? Yeah, it's got to be, isn't it?
So the voice sounds exactly the same as the previous stories where we've seen the Ice Warriors.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that when that voice was happening, the puddle started to freeze over.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. Right. Yeah.
So the puddle it starts to freeze at the top. And also, the story, The Waters of Mars, it's like the similar concept, isn't it? Where the people are sort of, they consist of water basically, and it's like dripping out of them all the time, which happens to be on Mars where the Ice Warriors are from.
That's right.
Join the dots. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. It's like, this has got to be an Ice Warrior thing. And also, we've seen the Ice Warriors in the promo footage. You know, like the scene where the big puddle explodes, the wall explodes, and we have all those faces coming at the camera in the little teaser for Series 10 a few weeks back.
That's it, yeah.
And then we actually see one of the Ice Lords, is it? Was it an Ice Lord character?
Ice Queen.
Ice Queen, yeah, whoever it is. So I would say this is definitely an Ice Warrior thing.
Yeah. In fact, it's making sense now. The dots are joining because don't forget we've got Thin Ice, which apparently isn't an Ice Warrior story, but it's about people disappearing into ice. So hang on, and then a couple of stories later, we've got the actual Ice Warrior story, which I forget what it's called now. So maybe this is a bit of an underlying thing. Maybe they're in the vault. No, they can't be in the vault, so then they won't be able to do anything. I don't know, but there's definitely we're onto something here. And do you know what? I haven't heard anybody else mention it, and yet it's the first thing I thought of when I heard the voice, and I'm really surprised that no one's. Well, I'm sure they have, but I haven't seen anyone pick up on it yet.
Do you know what? I'm sure a lot of people have guessed.
Yeah, perhaps they just forgot.
Yeah, but the thing that did it for me, though, was just the voice. It's unmistakable as... I mean, you're never 100% sure, are you, with Who, let's be honest, but it's pretty unmistakable as the Ice Warriors.
It certainly did sound like it to me.
Or something, yeah. So I really like that. And then just finally, as a story, then, the concept of... Because a lot of people struggled with why Heather was chasing them across time and space. Why was...
Yeah, I did on a first watch. I was a bit unclear about that, yeah.
What do you reckon to that? Because we did have like the mysterious, potential Ice Warrior voice saying pilot identified, detected, whatever. And then later on we had, was it passenger or something?
Oh, that's detected? Right, yeah.
You know, when they saw Bill afterwards?
Yeah.
So I think we might learn a little bit more in a future episode about that when we come to the Ice Warrior episode maybe. But I think it kind of explains itself because Bill does say to the Doctor, Heather's final sort of promise was never to leave her.
That's right.
So wherever Bill goes, Heather's going to follow. And the reason why Heather is able to do that across space and time is because she's part of whatever this oil, puddle, water stuff is. So, which is obviously there from a spaceship that landed.
Well, yeah, because there were scorch marks, weren't there, which reminded me of Remembrance of the Daleks when he's like saying about the scorch marks. So Yeah, it's all kind of tying in, actually. Maybe the Daleks have been there as well. I don't know.
Who knows?
I like all this. I'm loving it, you see. There's so much in there if you look at it. I'm just, loving all this.
So what do you reckon to that sort of final concept of the story then, with Heather chasing them across the universe and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I mean, it's not the best plot line, but as I said, I don't think that's what the Moffat was doing with the story. I think he just wanted a nice, simple idea. But this whole episode is about introducing Bill. So although it's not like the best sort of plot, I just think it works in terms of the overall story. The overall episode just works. Yeah. You could probably pick it to bits. Like, I mean, how was that water thing falling and all across time and space? But yeah, I think, like you said, I think there's going to be more to it. I think this is going to unfold a bit more over the next few episodes, because we see that eye again, don't we? I know in the preview clips, the trailer, there's that big eye pops up in one of the shots. So I think I don't think we've seen the last of Heather, to be honest with you. But yeah, I thought it was all right, mate. I thought it just works as a storyline, plot device, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yes.
Didn't have a problem with it.
Characters.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. So we had a very brief appearance from Bill's mum, who was the
Foster
same
mum.
actress who played What's Her Face in Gridlock, which we reviewed recently.
Yeah, do you know, it's funny because I knew that I knew the face. I was thinking, I know that actress, but I couldn't think like where. And then when I saw it pointed out online, I was like, Gridlock. I was like, oh yeah, she looks very different, because obviously she's got dark hair in Gridlock. And to me, I thought she was quite good as is her name Moira?
Moira, yeah.
Moira.
She played, was it Valerie in Gridlock?
That's right,
yeah. But very, very different character.
Yeah.
Almost to the point where you think, what's the relationship like between Bill and Moira? Because obviously foster mum and all that stuff, they don't seem too close, put it that way.
No, and no mention of the dad at all.
Yeah, but she was quite cool. I'm interested to see what happens with Moira, because she's very light at the moment. She's only in it for a couple of scenes, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So I wonder if we're going to see much more of her and her interactions with Bill.
I think we will. And again, this is something that the Moff's not always been good at, but I thought it was good in this. Again, it reminded me of Rose and Jackie, just getting a bit more of a backstory and a much more relatable sort of character in Bill and her foster mum. Do you know what I mean? It's much more relatable than like Clara and her weird family that seemed to change in every sort of time we saw them. And I just thought, even though we didn't get to see much of the foster mum, there is definitely a relationship between the two of them that is more interesting as a viewer. And the fact that she just instantly catches her out on the phone lying, saying, why are you pretending you're not seeing him again when you're using his phone and all that. Very simple, nice little moment. And I think we will see more of her. Maybe not much. I think she's going to be a bit of a Jackie character that will just sort of pop up now and again when, in terms of when we see Bill back home and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And we had old Briggsy back. You know what? I'm beginning to think that he's got a bloody contract where he has to appear as the Dalek in every series, because Nick Briggs is back as the voice of the Dalek.
That's right. I'm trying to think. There was an episode, was it last series, where they forgot to credit him and he was furious. I forget what it was. There was, I think, perhaps he had a Dalek pop up and do one line or something, or I forget which one it was now.
And
like cameo by the Dalek. He was not happy. They missed his name off the credits. They corrected it for the DVD, I think, but I remember him tweeting about it. Very unhappy.
Not good.
But yeah, Briggs doing his usual. I mean, he's just doing his usual stuff. Do you know, it's weird. I never realised what a small cast this was until now. It didn't strike me at the time. But yeah, it's really a small cast in this story, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's talk about Heather then. Stephanie Hyam.
Heather.
Yeah. Very well played, I thought.
I like her.
Yeah.
I like her a lot.
And I get the feeling that we will see her again, because the Doctor did make he did give her a little inkling of hope, didn't he? Because I think Bill did ask him when they're in his study or his office and said, will we ever see her again? And he kind of shrugged his shoulders and like, probably not. But then later on, when he's outside with the TARDIS, he does say something like, what does he say to Bill? You know, we can search for her or something like that.
Yeah, he's just sort of saying the world's our oyster, basically.
Yeah. So I think she might pop up again. I
hope so.
Yeah,
because I thought she, like you, I thought she was very good. Very nice performance from what's her name? Stephanie
Hyam. Yep.
Hyam. Yeah, she's got the sort of look right and the thing in the eye, and just her performance was really good. I liked her.
Really good, yeah. And it was, at first I thought, where were they going with this character? Because she's there as initially as the love interest for Bill, isn't she?
Yeah.
She sort of claps eyes on Bill in the hall, the university hall, lecture hall. But it's not until later on, whether it's some bar or nightclub, that they sort of look at each other. And that's when they sort of head to the bar, and then they stop and look at each other, and it's like, you know, the stars align at that point, and all that stuff, you know, which is quite sweet. But then immediately after that, you can tell that because her character just changes immediately, doesn't it? Because Bill finds her on the bench looking pretty down, and
that's right.
So she's obviously seen the puddle at this point, and she's quite traumatized by it. But it's not until she disappears that, again, her performance changes yet again. She's now this sort of zombie-like, you know, dead character.
That bit where they touch hands at the end, you know, when she's dissolved the Dalek, and she almost takes Bill to whatever. That was great, wasn't it? You know, when they sort of touch hands, and then it does those sort of computer graphics into Bill's face and all the world spinning. Yeah. But again, coming back to Murray's music, it's almost like The Who. It's like dun 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 dun, dun, you know, just I loved that scene, because Bill's like tempted, you know, she's showing her the universe basically, isn't she, or whatever. And
that's right.
I just thought that was visually lovely, and also you know, just the music and everything, it just really come together, because it was not like a big climatic final. You know, it's not like loads of explosions and action. It was just a really nice sort of I don't know, way to tie up that story, I thought. No,
it's really cool. Really cool. Okay, let's talk about Nardole.
Now see, he's the one that's causing most of the division. People seem quite divided on Nardole. I guess everything I've read about this episode has been pretty positive, but people still don't seem to have made up their mind about Nardole. So I'm wondering where you stand on this. What did you think of him in it?
Yeah, for the most part, I thought he was. Well, I actually quite like him. I really liked his part in the episode, but I think that's sort of 80% of me thinks that he was really good, you know, and I really liked his interactions with the Doctor. I think they've got a great chemistry. Yeah, Matt Lucas and Capaldi, they work really well together. But there's 20% of me that just thinks he's there for the comic relief. So
he is,
so pretty much every line out of his mouth, it is a comical line. You know, apart from the bit where he's really crapping himself when the doctors ask him to, he gives him a sonic and says, you know, can you interfere with the signal and stuff, and he's boxing stuff, and he's really crapping himself. But even then, that's quite funny the way he's delivering it. So for the most part of me thinking, you know, I actually quite like him. I think he's a good TARDIS team, these three. I really like it. But then on the other hand, I think, and I can't be too judgmental just because it is just the first episode. So I'm hoping that as we get through the series, he's not used just as the comic relief. There's going to be a bit more substance to him, which I'm sure there will be, because we need an explanation as to why he's here in the first place. But, you know, I'm hoping that he's not just there to deliver all the funny one-liners.
He does just literally quip in with the odd line, doesn't he? Just every time there's a comedy, he does just chip in with these comedy lines. So I think some people are going to find that really irritating. I think, because he does just come out with these lines, and it can take you a bit out of the episode, I think. But for me personally, I really liked him in the episode. I actually just found him quite funny, because he didn't really do anything for me in Husbands of River Song.
Right.
In Dr. Mysterio, sorry, he was okay. He didn't really get a lot to do, but in this, I think because of the interaction with him and the Doctor, which I immediately liked, just the fact that it's almost like the Doctor's little sidekick, isn't he? He's like calls him sir, and the fact he's like, oh, you're looking after her now, and he's like, yes, I am going to teach you and all that. I just thought there's some good chemistry now with the Doctor, which I'm liking. So the more we get to see them together, the more I like Nardole. And then, when we brought Bill on board as well, like you said, I just really liked this TARDIS team, and I did find him quite funny. I mean, when he was going, oh, I don't like it, and he's blowing up the things. I mean, that would annoy some people, but it made me laugh. So I think he is going to be quite Marmite. But me personally, I'm starting to really like him, just because I just like the way he interacts with the Doctor and Bill. I just think the three of them together already are working very well. Yeah, so I quite like Nardole in this. Yeah. Do
you know what it reminds me? It reminds me a lot of Davison's TARDIS team, where you have at least one character, and I'm going to say it's, for a lot of people, it's either Adric or, mainly Adric, but also a bit of, I would say either Adric or Tegan.
Oh, okay.
You either really enjoy the episode with those characters, or you hate them and you think they're really annoying. It reminds me of that, because you're absolutely right. I think Nardole's going to be the one where he'll either get slated in a particular episode, or people will love him because he's just friendly and funny and he brings a lot to the show. So he will be Marmite, definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think Bill's won everyone over already. So I don't think she's going to be Marmite. And obviously, Capaldi's never going to be Marmite. But I think Nardole's the one to watch.
Yeah. See, I'm smiling as we're talking about him, because I just thinking of like he's like, oh, I don't want to go there and all that. I don't know. I just found it quite charming, actually. It didn't irritate me at all. It might do if we get too much of it or whatever. Then, like you said, if we get a whole series of all of just that, it might become a bit tiresome. But for me, at the minute, I thought he worked well with the two, with Bill and the Doctor.
No, absolutely, yeah. And I also like how he's been written in terms of his relationship to the Doctor, because in some ways he actually is quite authoritative. Like, when when he can see what the Doctor's doing, he actually has he has his opinion, and he's not really sort of subservient to the Doctor. He's not afraid to say something like, how the Doctor's treating somebody or what he's about to do. Like you said, he's like, oh, you're looking after her now, are you? And he obviously has a lot of knowledge of everything. So when the Doctor says, we're going to see if she can follow us through fire, and we're going to go to like the greatest fire in the universe, it happens to be the Daleks in this war. Nardole knows exactly where they're going, exactly what's happening there, and that's why he doesn't want to go. So he knows that, so he's got this immense knowledge of everything as well, almost like he knows what the Doctor knows.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
But I just like the fact that he doesn't have this sort of, there's not this Doctor and a butler relationship. It's more a case of Nardole's actually quite clued up, and he has an opinion, and he doesn't really, I don't know, it's just a good relationship, I think.
This might sound strange, but it does remind me a little bit of the Doctor and K9 relationship. Because if you look at the scene where they land in the future on that landscape with the funny flowers, that there was a bit, I think they were off screen at the time, but you can hear him in the background having a bit of banter, and I loved it. It was like the Doctor's like, I don't know everything, Nardole, and he's like, well, you always say you do, and he's like, well, I have to pretend I do, and all that. And I was just thinking that bit of chemistry there is just great, just the fact that, like you said, he does sort of question the Doctor, and he seems to know the Doctor's character really well, doesn't he? Like at the end when he turns to Pearl and he says, oh, that's the Doctor for you, never notices the tears. He seems to sort of know the Doctor very well. So I don't know how long they're supposed to have been travelling for, but I genuinely just loved the way they sort of sparred off each other in those little scenes like that. I thought it was good.
It seems like a long time to me. It seems like those two have been together for a very long time, because we also have this concept in the story, don't we, where the Doctor seemingly has parked the TARDIS and is not doing his typical saving planets, traveling, exploring and stuff. He is basically parked on Earth,
earthbound. Yeah,
it's a bit of a John Pertwee situation, it feels like, doesn't it, where he hasn't been forced to stay on Earth. He's not there because the Time Lords have said he can't go anywhere else. He's there because something's happened and we don't know yet, which is intriguing. But he did say that he made a promise, didn't he? He said, "I've promised I wouldn't do that stuff anymore."
Yeah.
So I think a lot has happened in the time that we haven't seen the Doctor since whenever it was, the return of Dr. Mysterio. I think a lot has happened since then that we might find out.
And what's going on with this vault, do you think? Did he say something about it's been there for 50 years or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Because again, you have to go back and watch it and think, hang on a minute. So it's been there 50 years. Again, you could read all sorts into that. 50 years of Doctor Who's been on TV for 50 years. Is Susan in there? Is the first Doctor in there that keeps getting rumoured? Is John Sim in there? It's like, so what's going on with that vault? What do you reckon he's got in there? Has he got the cast of Class in there? What's in that vault?
Well, that's one of the things, isn't it? That's, in a way, we've criticised this before. So before we've said, why does the Moff put these story arcs in where we don't find out what's going on until like 7 episodes later, but, it just drags out throughout the series. However, I think it's cleverly done this time because it is intriguing why Nardol's there and how he knows so much. It is intriguing what the Doctor's been up to and who and what has he promised to stay on Earth and be this university lecturer and stuff like that, and why he doesn't want to travel anymore. And the vault as well. These things are interesting questions. It's not a case of, oh, well, Clara's doing something, but we don't know why. But we're going to spend the next 8 episodes dragging it out in this big, boring, bloody arc with Danny Pink. And, we're going to, at the end, we're going to be like, oh, that was it.
Yeah. So
it doesn't feel like that. It feels like we've been thrown a load of questions at us, and it's exciting to find out what's been happening.
It's funny actually because somebody said, was it on the podcast or online? I can't remember now. It was just saying like they felt more engaged with the relationship between Heather and Bill in this one episode than they did the entire Danny and Clara relationship, which is true. I mean, I felt more upset that they were breaking, it wasn't working out for them in just this one episode than anything to do with Danny and Clara. So that's, again, a positive for the Moff, is that he's managed to sort of recapture that and actually create some empathy between two characters, which unfortunately he never managed to do with Clara and Danny. So, again, another hats off to the Moff. He's managed to do that.
Well, you know what's happened, don't you? He's thought, right, I've committed to this, to Bill, being a gay character. So how the hell am I going to do this? Right, hold on. Hi, is that Russell? Yeah, it's the Moff. So, got this gay character, and I need to have a meet up and a break up in the first episode. Gotcha. Right. I'm right. Cool. Thank you. And that's probably what's happened, isn't it? Because
he did say the thing. He does. Him and the RTD do talk a lot.
Yeah,
he told me they still chat a lot. Yeah, still in good contact.
So this feels like Russell T Davis.
It does have that. Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's a thing, because it's just my stupidity saying that. But it does feel a little, especially just that bit where Heather and Bill, like their interactions in the bar, and then the bit at the end. Yeah. Where they sort of build just like, I really liked you. And it's just sad.
It's just I actually felt something towards the characters. I just thought, something that's been lacking from the Moff scripts for quite a while.
Yeah.
I can't relate to a lot of his stuff, or I don't feel anything towards the characters, but I really did in this.
Yeah, and it feels, those little bits feel like RTD to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about Bill then.
Yes, we must.
Pearl Mackie. So we almost didn't have Pearl, did we? Because did you see in the Radio Times about her audition?
No.
So she says... So she went to an audition that her agent said was for a part in something called Mean Town.
Okay.
And apparently that's an anagram for Woman 10.
Oh.
And the reason they did that is because if they knew that it was for casting for Doctor Who, then all the agents would just send thousands of people.
Right.
So they were trying to keep it a bit more select. And so she says that she walked through into this into the foyer for the Soho Hotel in London, really, really nervous. And she said that there was a lot of other people there, and she rocked up, with just bright trainers and her afro and all that, and a baggy T-shirt. And she was waiting in this big posh foyer. And she said, and she was told to wait in this room until they're ready. And she said that she almost at that point ran out the building.
Really?
She almost ran away because she just felt so nervous and out of place because she's in this big posh hotel, for an audition for Doctor Who. And she's in just baggy T-shirt and trainers and stuff. And she probably thought she's out of place in this environment. She turned up in the wrong thing and all that stuff. And then Capaldi said to her, I think that you looked really cool. You didn't seem fazed when you were into it. You seemed to have a life that was beyond the scene. And it was like Bill has existed rather than you were saying lines for an audition.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating because we don't really know much about casting and stuff, do we? We rarely hear about the actors, their audition process. All we know is that they've just been cast.
Yeah.
And that's it. So I thought that was fascinating to hear that she was really, really nervous and she almost legged out. She almost just did a runner.
Oh, I'm so glad she didn't. I mean, that's the thing she did talk about in the panel about, how unexperienced she is in front of a TV camera. She's done theatre work, but she hasn't done TV at all, I don't think, or hardly any. And I think she says she's never spent longer than 6 hours in front of a TV camera up till now. But you wouldn't know it. I thought she was fantastic as Bill, and she didn't seem wooden or like she was sort of finding her feet a bit. She seemed very natural, and maybe that's what they saw in the audition. Then is that she does already feel like quite a fleshed out character even after one episode, which is again is another plus point in the Moffat era. So well done to him for that. So yeah, I mean and well done to her. I just thought she seemed very comfortable in front of the camera for someone that hasn't done much TV work, and instantly likable, instantly relatable to as well. And just it's a bit cliche to say it, but I'm going to say it, an absolute breath of fresh air in Doctor Who, and totally needed at this time.
Absolutely.
I just already love Bill, and I hope that she carries on being that good because, I just don't want her to get ruined. I don't want to get to Series 5 and find out that there's more to Bill when she's actually been in the Doctor's timeline or anything silly like that. I just want her to be this down-to-earth, companion that's traveling with the Doctor. Because after one episode, I'm really liking her, but I don't want the Moff to do anything silly, like he normally does. Just keep her as she is, and and she'll be a classic companion if she carries on the way after this, one episode. If she carries on like this.
See, what's happened is Bill has already been in the Doctor Who's timeline before. She's already had a memory wipe, and she's been she was off travelling, and she was in some foster care with Clara at some point, and they went off travelling, and she's had a mind wipe already, but now she's back and
she's actually a shielder regenerate. Oh no, just don't do it, Moff.
She's a shielder regenerate.
Do it. Yeah, just keep it simple.
No, I agree, mate. And I think that she was what we said when we reviewed Rose, and we said that episode and the characters in it was exactly what was needed at that time for Who. It feels like that. It feels like right now, a character like Bill is exactly what we need. We need someone who's... The thing I like about Pearl Mackie is her performance is real. And what I mean is not just the way that she's written, but the way that she is and the way that she's playing this character is, there's obviously a lot of sides to her, and she's not just one-dimensional, but she's got this... When she's being funny or witty, or even when she's being really sad and upset, there's this real just layer of genuine, caring for that character from her. That makes sense. We've said in the past about, some characters just look bored or they're not really into it. I get the feeling that we'll never see that from Pearl. It feels like she really cares for her own character and wants her to be the best that it can be. And so all of those sides to her, she just got this realness about her. She just, like Capaldi said, it doesn't feel like she's reading lines off a script or anything. It feels like she's actually, all the words and the lines are coming from her, not that it's been written for her, if that makes sense. Yeah,
no, it does. It does. She feels very, very grounded and very, as a character, very rounded. And even in scenes when I can't really, this is something you'd have to see rather than me explain it, but I was just sort of watching her quite closely in the second episode, and she acts when, even if she's not sort of the major part of the scene, if that makes sense. So even if you watch her when the Doctor's talking to her in Australia, you can see her reflection in the mirror. She's, even in those scenes, she's like acting, like doing facial expressions, and she just seems to be on the ball all the time. Like there's a bit where she sat talking to the Doctor in his study, and she's sort of looking at the ground because they've run out of conversation, and she's pulling the face that we all pull when we're like, I don't know. It's just little things like that. She's thought about the scene. She's thought about how would Bill be reacting at that moment. She's not just stood there waiting for the lines to be said to react to. She's reacting all the time to the scene, and I noticed that, and I thought that's really good. It's really impressive that she's doing stuff like that. Yeah, and considering she is an inexperienced actor at this point.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like you said, she's spent so few. Well, how many hours did she say she's been in front of a camera?
She said the scene she filmed with Capaldi, the first scene she ever shot was the first scene with the Doctor in his study at the start of the episode. So that's the first scene she did. And she said, I think she said she spent like 6 hours in front of the camera. And she said, that's the longest I've ever spent in front of a TV camera.
That's unbelievable.
But you wouldn't know it. Yeah, you wouldn't know it.
That's what I mean. She does feel like a
very natural, experienced
actor. Like she's been in like a dozen TV programs already, and she knows the crack. So just really chuffed to have her on the show.
Yeah, and I'm so glad I like it, because I don't know about you, I wasn't sure about her from that little intro clip, and I've said that all along, that I was just not sure about this character. But I like her a lot. Can't wait to see more of her.
And I like the fact that the Moff has very nicely thrown in a lot of her backstory early, so that we don't have that Clara thing where we have these big reveals about Clara,
throughout. That's right.
I like the fact that we've seen her at home, at work, with the Doctor, on her own, with other people. We've seen all that stuff, all these little key scenes. So we know a lot about her already. And even in episode 1, we know a lot, but it's not overpowering. It's not like, oh my God, this was a Bill episode. Because in a way, it's hard to explain. In a way it was, wasn't it? It was about Bill. But on the other hand, we did have a lot of other stuff going on. So it was a good balance, I thought.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Yeah, it was just a perfect introduction for her. Yeah.
And Capaldi
himself.
Now, I need to ask you a question about Capaldi. So we've had 2 versions of Capaldi over Series 8 and 9, because he was written quite dark and moody and Hartnell-ish for Series 8. And then in Series 9, he was a bit goofy and Clara-led and all that stuff. So for this one, where do you think the needle points to for him in this series?
I think he's finally, if this episode's anything to go by, I think he's finally relaxed into his Doctor, because I thought he gave a really nice, calm, confident performance, Peter Capaldi, in this. He was just sat back, just flowing with the whole episode. And I thought, this is the Doctor, he's doing the lecturing, coming out with the quirkiness, getting excited about showing a new companion the TARDIS. He's, putting on his jacket and being like, strutting around, this is my ship, and her being like, oh, it looks like a kitchen. And he's like, what? I just thought Capaldi was absolutely on the ball in this episode. There was none of that sort of hunched over gooking around that we sometimes got from him in Series 9, and he just seemed spot on to me. When he's doing the lecturing, yes, I can totally see the Doctor doing that, being all full of himself, and all the kids liking him because he's so quirky and interesting, and just having the TARDIS parked up in a study. It was all working for me. Everything was working. And Capaldi's performance as well, and getting cross at the end with himself not wiping her mind. And yeah, he's just absolutely bang on. That's how I want the Doctor. I want him to, when he's in the action, he's excitable. When he's, just chatting to, people in everyday life, he's just interesting, and it's all in the facial expressions of Capaldi. And
yes,
I just thought he was bang on in this. Loved it. And curious about something that's going on in terms of the puddle, the way he's running out the window before she's even finished talking. That was a funny line from Pearl as well, wasn't it? From Bill. And she says, "Why are you running like a penguin with its arse on fire?" And I was like, that was really good. And yeah, I just, instant chemistry between the Doctor and Bill as well, I thought. So yeah, for me, Capaldi was bang on in this. That's the Doctor I want to see.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, I felt the same. I thought that he had kind of eased in between the two versions of him that we've seen.
Yeah.
So we did see a quite a moody-ish character, when he was saying to Bill, I expect nothing less than the first, and you'll be here every day at 6 p.m. and don't be late. I'm particular about time. And he's quite moody and very Hartnell again. But then he is quite relaxed, more of the Doctor that we saw in Series 9. So he seems to have sort of grabbed the best bits, if you like, of the other, the other way the ways that he's been written over the last few years.
Yeah.
He seems to have settled into that very comfortable way of playing the Doctor, where he's not overdoing the comedy like he has done with some of the other episodes that we've seen, but he's also not too stern, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Totally. He's just found a middle ground, I think, between the two. He seemed very, very relaxed in performance in this, but in a good way. He just seemed very comfortable, actually. Not relaxed. He seemed very comfortable in his version of the Doctor. And then we do get to see like the odd spark of fire of Hartnell. Like, we know when he tells her to get out, when he doesn't wipe her mind. And he's like, go before I change my mind.
Oh, yeah. And
he really flips at that point. I thought, okay, there's a bit of Hartnell's Doctor coming through there, and a bit of Series 8 Capaldi, So he's still got that fire. But yeah, just they've toned down the geekiness that didn't suit him, I don't think.
Yeah.
Just a great performance from Capaldi. I love his Doctor when he's like this. I just loved him in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Loved the stuff with Nardal as well. Just thought him and Nardal were great together.
And I think, for me, overall, I think the Moff has really come a long way in his character writing, because, like we've said, he is really, really good when he wasn't showrunner at writing Who. But when he's showrunner and he's writing an episode, a lot of the interactions are quite wooden and, borderline just boring to watch. But I think in this one, he's really sort of upped his game in terms of the character interactions and the dialogue and stuff. And so well done to Moff.
Yeah, and Stephen Moffat's very good at coming up with quirky ideas as well. Like just the idea of having this alien in a puddle, I think is great, because kids could go out and look at a puddle and be like, because that's what I'd be doing when I was a kid and watching Doctor Who. If you see anything like that you can actually see in real life, I think it's great, because you can go out and say, oh, it could be an ice warrior under there, So it's really good that the Moff picks up on these things. So he takes a puddle, makes it into something else, and then does something else with it by saying the reflection's actually the right way, and it makes you think about that and think, oh yeah, I've never thought about the fact that I never get to see my actual face. And he's very good when he comes up with ideas like that.
Yes, yeah. And we got a bit of guitar playing at the beginning, didn't we? We got that out the way.
Beethoven, yes, yeah. Thankfully, that's all we got, because I wouldn't have wanted any more, but it was fine. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to mention before we crack on?
No, I don't think so, mate. I think we've covered it. Yeah.
Okay, let's get on with our scores. It's you to go first.
Is it? Okay, then.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go with a very strong 7.5. I'm going 0.5 because 7 isn't good enough, but it wasn't quite an 8 because it was quite a thin plot overall. But I think as an episode, an introduction to the new companion, it did exactly what it needed to. So a very strong 7.5 for me.
Okie dokie. I'm going to go with a 7.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I've got that written down here as well. It's not another coinkydink. For me, I thought all of that 7.5 was the characters and all of the interactions and so on. I think as a story and a plot, it was okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to win any awards for best episode in terms of story. However, I thought in terms of it being fresh and new and the characters and the music and everything, it's all that.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yes. Our lovely listeners. Now, we got quite a few reviews in both audio and Facebook and Twitter. We're not going to have time to go through all of these because there's so many.
I know. I've never had so much feedback on an episode ever. I think I've got like 52 comments or something. And unfortunately, we just don't have the time to read them all. But thank you to everybody that commented. It's been amazing. I mean, that's just me as well. I think you got another 30 odd. We just got so much feedback for the story from people. It was incredible.
Yeah. We did get some audio clips in though, so we're going to get through a couple of these now. So let's do Loopy Loo.
The best Who we've had in a long time. Finally, a companion who works well with Capaldi's Doctor. Clara was so bad for his character. We needed Bill, and I think so did the Doctor. I am loving Bill. What a great character. So relatable and a real joy to watch. Has the Moff finally learned how to write for a female character? I am in shock. I loved everything about this episode, from the quiet start to the overall character piece and emotional ending. Best series opener since Rose. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm actually really pleased with the Moff. This is the 12th Doctor as he should be. This is the Doctor Who we deserve. Brilliant start. 9 out of 10. Just 1 point off for the wateriness of the stuff that wasn't actually water. I would have made it look more like oil, though I'm sure Oil Girl would be difficult to do practically.
Cheers, Lou.
Thank you very much, Lou. Over on Twitter, we had a few comments there. Sarah Louise Baggett says, loved it. Chloe Fodden says, it was great, but no, I've got no criticism. It was awesome. Darren says, a great start to the series with plenty of Easter eggs for the fan. I love Bill. And what's the vault? The series 10 arc has been planted. He said it's hard to do a review in a few tweets. As there is so much I loved about the start, I found myself with a smile the whole way through, and a few belly laughs too. Who else? Loopy Lou, actually, she tweeted again. She said she hasn't recovered yet. Joshua Zygon63 says, I'm thinking this will turn out to be the best series since 2010. We'll try to send you a review in time for the podcast. Thank you, Joshua. Stan Gallagher 70 says it was great. Ollie Tanner says, fun and engaging episode. Good intro for Bill, and Capaldi was great. Really like Nardole. Excited for series 10, 8 out of 10.
Yes.
The missus, she says, love Bill Potts. Heart face there. Thank you very much, wifey. And was chatting to the guys over at the Doctor Who show. They'd already seen it a couple of times. It'd be interesting to see what they think about it. Adam the Whovian says he'll give it a second rewatch, but he did think it was only a fine story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we're chatting to some other podcasts as well about it, the Proctor guys.
Yeah.
Let's do another audio clip. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello, Big Blue Box Podcast. Hope you guys are well. So, the pilot, I can honestly say I really quite enjoyed it. I thought it gives us a complete new fresh air now that Clara's finally gone. Hooray! And also it is new companion, new stories, new adventure. And I quite like, I really like Bill. I think she's an interesting character. And also she's, in some ways, she's like Donna, and she's got quite a feisty side to her character. And Peter and Pearl were so brilliant on screen, and also Peter was also excellent as a Doctor, and Nardole. In some ways, I do like him, but I don't like how he's been shoved to the background and all he's doing just following the Doctor around and doing nothing but waving the Sonic around. And also, I don't like the dialogue that they give him. And also, as for the Dalek scene, I just think it's a little bit of a filler, but it didn't bother me that much because I'd much rather have a cameo rather than a full episode or two-parter. So overall, great start to the series. So I'll give a score of 8 out of 10.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Over on Facebook, Adam Pink says, Doctor Who is back. It's a great start for the show's grand return. Bill is excellent, and I found her more likeable than Clara within 30 minutes. Very real and fresh. If anyone doubted Capaldi as the Doctor, this surely set all the worries to rest. A great balance between his darker nature and the funnier side. Nardole was fine and made me laugh on several occasions. Threat and plot wasn't too strong, but in an opener they never are. Overall, Doctor Who at its best, not at its best, but at its most fun and purest. Totally Doctor Who, 8 out of 10.
Yeah, cool.
Sammy Satine says, the Doctor finally went to Sydney.
Yay!
But the Doctor yelling the word shark attack is not going to get an Aussie to run out of a cafe. I absolutely love Bill. She's awesome. Can someone make a figure of her, please? I want one. She's a breath of fresh air, and I cannot praise her enough. Can't wait to see more of her. 12, being a lecturer in a university is brilliant. Also love photos of River Song and Susan. I love how he has his Sonics in a container, like most people would have pens. This is such a Doctor thing to do. I love his hair in this too. Not to mention that sexy red velvet jacket makes a return. Yes, I even like Nardole. I thought it was lovely that he looked after Bill and encouraged her. Looking forward to the rest of the series. Bring on the emoji bots.
Yes.
She gives this an 8 out of 10. Let's do another audio clip. This is Jay Kent.
Hey Gary and Adam, I'm back, and so is Doctor Who, and both have made their return in a spectacular way. My initial fears about Bill vanished. You thought she was going to be a one-dimensional comic relief wacky and zany cookie-cutter character, but she had more dimensions to her than the TARDIS. We saw her at her best, her worst, we saw her grow and grieve and experience a whole manner of emotions within 50 minutes, more than we did with Clara in 3 series, and none of it seemed forced or rushed either. She felt human and real, and it was so refreshing and brilliant. It was a beautiful introduction to her character and Pearl's chemistry with Peter trumps whatever Jenna had. Unfortunately, there were some downfalls to the episode. It was an utter waste of the Daleks. The overall plot felt a bit thin, and I didn't really feel any substance there. Nardole took the title of one-dimensional comic relief, but I hope that improves as the series goes on. I think 7.5 out of 10 is a fair score, but overall, colour me excited for the rest of this series. It gave us so much, but still left us with so many questions. What's in the vault? Is there more to Nardole? And most importantly, why does the Doctor run like a penguin with its arse on fire? See you next week, lads, and enjoy the rest of the series. Whoop, whoop.
Cheers, Jay.
Nice one, Jay. Continuing on Facebook, I'm going to pick out a few here because I haven't got time to read all of them. Kevin Mullen says, utterly brilliant. Capaldi is great as always. Fantastic opening episode that was full of witty one-liners as well as some great character moments. A very strong first episode that will give a well-deserved 9 out of 10.
Ooh.
Jamie Ackley says, watched 3 times now, a joy. Bill is such a breath of fresh air. Pearl Mackie's performance was delightful, charming, cheerful, optimistic and fun. Capaldi now has his proper companion and feels such a natural pairing. A great start, hoping the rest of the series maintains this momentum. 9 out of 10.
Excellent.
Another audio clip. This is Ian from France.
Hi, Ian from France here. As you may or may not remember, over the past season or so, I've developed something of a reputation as a bit of a curmudgeon. Each fresh episode greeted with all the joy and delight as a fresh bout of hemorrhoids. So, it was with some trepidation that I sat down, delicately, to watch the pilot. And boy, was I in for a bloody shock. 10 minutes in, I caught myself thinking, this is alright. 15 in, I was genuinely enjoying it. By 20 minutes in, I was positively glowing. delighted by what was on screen, fuzzy thoughts of recaptured glory and halcyon days, and my God, is this actually happening? Buzzing around me bonce. It was bloody great. Then the comedy TARDIS introduction scene happened, which was a bit rubbish. You know, Moffat trying to be funny, which is a desperate weakness of his. But I forgave it really quickly. As you guys said last week, trying to write an original, fresh take on the companion entering the TARDIS for the first time must be nigh on impossible. So I got over it, and the episode romped to a really satisfying conclusion. Companion reintroduced, Doctor re-established, series back on track. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. In fact, I'll go this far. It's the single best episode of Who since 1988. That's right, you heard me. I am genuinely flabbergasted. Bill as a character, great. Ambience, great. Plot, great. Capaldi, great. The only duff note was the irritating continued presence of Matt Lucas, but whatever. Even City of Death had the odd duff moment. A triumphant return, only enhanced by the glimpse of old-school Mondas-style Cybermen in the teaser trailer. My God, it's good to be alive.
Whoa.
Golly, I just got to pick myself up off the floor. Ian, you're back. We thought you'd never watch Doctor Who again.
I honestly thought that he'd retired from watching.
He said he was done. Yeah. I'm glad you came back, mate, and I'm glad you enjoyed it more than anything. Yeah, fantastic.
That was awesome. Yeah, thank you, Ian. Right, I'm going to say this wrong once again. Maria Calaticcio or Calaticci, one of the two. She says, I've watched it 3 times now, so you can probably tell I enjoyed it a lot. I love the Doctor in the academic setting. It really suits him. God, I'm going to miss Capaldi when he goes. I love watching him. There's such a relaxed, fresh vibe between him and Bill, and I'm loving her already. Pearl has a lovely energy with Peter. Although on the third watch, some of her sassy lines sounded like they could have been Clara's. Pearl delivered them in such a way that I couldn't help but like her. It was an interesting introduction, and I enjoyed her story. Pleasantly surprised by the tone from Moff. Decent scares in places and comedy dialed back a notch, although you can see Nardol's role is funny backchat. It was a good story despite having the Daleks and Mavallans in there for just 5 minutes. The Daleks became strange fan service when that's not done, and their power as supervillain diminishes. But they've had their annual appearance now. Hopefully back bigger and better next time. So thank you very much, Maria. Jeff Waddle says, good but not great. Not much of a plot. Hopefully got the Daleks out of the way for their annual appearance. Didn't make sense for them to be there otherwise. Capaldi stole the show. Mackie better than expected. At least some chemistry there, unlike with Clara. 6 out of 10.
Oh, cheers, Jeff.
Dean Jones giving a second view. It's between a 6 or a 7 as of right now. And Lewis Palmer says it was fun, fresh and exciting. Bill actually has a character. It's a miracle. In all seriousness, I like her a lot. The universe felt huge for the first time in a while. It's a very optimistic episode. Aesthetically, Heather was a great monster, incredibly scary. However, on repeat viewing, she doesn't make a lot of sense. And yet again, her motivation was love, which I'm sick of at this point. But the final scene was nothing short of beautiful. The music was great, and it kickstarted a brand new series of adventures. Overall, it's on the same level as Rose for me. It's everything it needed to be. Well enjoyed. 8 out of 10.
Excellent.
And last audio clip, this is Owen Daly.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So, Starting Her Eye, the pilot, whatever this episode's called. Yeah, unfilling. That's what I've got to say. It was unfilling. I left this episode wanting more because I wasn't satisfied with this one. Yes, it is great to see Bill finally, but I just didn't feel like she was a real fresh start, because we've had Bill for under a year now, just under a year. And so, she just didn't feel like a fresh new look on the Doctor, because we've seen her in so many trailers, we've seen her on filming, so when we finally saw her yesterday, I was kind of going, yeah, she doesn't feel very fresh. That's not to say I didn't like her, she was definitely better than Clara, but I don't think she felt overly fresh. Nardole was good in this episode, but he was actually really funny. Probably the funniest bit of this episode, but I do want answers. I want to know why he is there. I love the Easter eggs in this episode. There was a great Susan one, River Song, and also you had all the sonic screwdrivers. Don't know how the sonic screwdrivers were there, seeming they were all most of them were blown up or taken off them. The Movellans, I'm heartbroken. I was so happy when I saw them in the trailer, and they were only there for a split second. I'm gutted. I thought the monster in this episode was underdeveloped with a weak explanation, and the story was a bit too jumpy, going to loads of locations like Sydney and that planet. And I really hoped that planet was Vulcan in the trailer, but it turns out it wasn't. And finally, I wanted more Dalek action in this episode, which is a first for me, but I actually did want more Daleks, which is a good sign, because, the Daleks usually I'm going, get away. But yeah, I wanted more Daleks. I also liked how the Doctor took on the relationship with Bill. It's great to see Peter Capaldi again. He was very good. I love him back as a smart Doctor in his velvet jacket. It really suits him. But I love this teacher-student relationship with Bill, and it's something I really want to see blossom over the next few episodes. Yeah, the vault, if that's their garden, don't know what that is. Don't really care what it is, but I want to know what it is. Yeah, I like the Doctor as a university teacher as well. It's a good thing you see the Doctor doing. And finally, I want more of Bill's backstory, maybe some more on her family and more on her foster mum. Overall, it was an average episode, and I did enjoy it, but it's nothing I'd rave about, so I give it a 6 out of 10.
Ah.
I wanted more.
Wanted more.
More of everything.
Indeed. Don't we all? That's going to do for the official Facebook page stuff and all that jazz. Did you have? You had quite a few on Geeks, didn't you?
I did. I had a couple of long comments and a couple of short ones, so I'll rattle through these. So Jake Birtwhistle says, I actually liked the series opener. It introduced Bill excellently, and she was actually very likeable and felt like a human and not a plot device. Cough, cough, Clara. Clara's getting some stick. Monster in the episode was very creepy, but it was underused. The Daleks just get worse and worse every series, and they were sealed off by Nardole and killed by water. Speaking of Nardole, I didn't mind him that much in this episode. I mean, he's a bit annoying at times, but I've grown to like him, and I love the Doctor and Bill's relationship. It really did feel like the Doctor-companion relationship and not a Doctor and Doctor relationship. Cough, cough, Clara. And why, oh why, was there a Clara reference near the end? Moffat has been so obsessed with this series being a reboot and a fresh start. Why can't all the Clara crap just sod off? And it felt like it was written to make us cry. The adipose leaving the Earth had much more of an emotional impact on me than that Clara reference did. Anyway, I better stop talking about Clara before I go insane and punch Moffat in the face. Can't wait for Chibnall. Also, the scene where the Bill entered the TARDIS was magical, as it always is, but I wish that the scene would have been kept secret and not released as a preview. So the score from Jake is 8 out of 10. Cool. He says he's deducting 2 points because of that Clara reference, but still love Bill and her relationship with the Doctor. And I think that Bill might be my favourite companion of the Moffat era. Ooh. Also, the trailer at the end was fantastic. I'm particularly looking forward to a certain person to return, although I'm not so keen on his beard, says Jake. He is, of course, talking about John Sim, who we've not mentioned, but maybe we'll chat more on that next week when we've got a bit more time. Adam Time Lord Fishwick just says, I really enjoyed it. A great start for Bill. And finally, 2 more. We've got Luke East. Love the homages made to Susan's River and all the other Doctors in 12's office. The use of Clara's theme when the Doctor is wanting to wipe Bill's memory was really touching. Looking forward to seeing the rest. And finally, Darren Drake says, this one exceeded my expectations. The plot was fun, a little thin, but just with like the Auton invasion wasn't really the point of Rose. This was about Bill and was highly welcome change of pace, portraying fabulously by Pearl. But all this tinged and degree of sadness as Capaldi is so brilliant as the Doctor, and he's leaving. The scene on the distant plane was particularly a highlight for me, and Darren would give it a 7.5 out of 10, the same as us. So we did have quite a lot more, so apologies for not reading all your comments, but we get the gist, and mainly overall positive, very little negativity in the feedback, which is great, because I don't know about you, Gary, but I think we all thought we were going to have to wait for Chris Chibnall before we got a fresh start, and it feels like that's come early, which is just amazing.
Absolutely. This is it's good stuff from them off, and huge relief.
Yeah, well, I do think we all just feel relief, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's hope Series 10, the rest of Series 10 continues.
Well,
next week, we all know we're going to review next week, but Buddy, what's on the plan?
Well, I was going to say, let's hope it does continue, because next week the episode is Smile, written by Frank Cottrell Boyce. Is that his name? Yep. Something like that. Mm-hmm. Who did write what I consider to be one of the worst episodes of Doctor Who ever, in the Forest of the Night. So let's hope that Smile is good.
Let's hope it makes us smile.
Yeah, let's hope it makes us smile. It's the emoji robot. So
yeah.
Hoping, praying for good things next week. Or this week. Yeah, this Saturday, yeah.
So Smile next week.
Yeah.
Look out for the Facebook post and all that stuff. I think we're going to do there for 138.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sticking with us for episode 138. It's been a really long show, this one.
Yes.
But we've had lots to talk through, as you might expect. With a new series of Who, lots to talk about. We didn't even have any news either. Imagine if we had loads of news as well.
Yeah.
We did have some cool merch, though. If anyone sees anything about the lamp, the console lava lamp, then do let us know.
Yes.
Because that will look mighty fine on the desk. So head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. From there you can listen to all of our episodes, plus you can link off to all the social stuff. And you can also click the big button that takes you off to your podcast app or service of choice. It's a big one for iTunes. If you just do a search for us on there, if you're not on the website, just search for the Big Blue Box Podcast. You'll find us on there. Or if you listen on Android or any other podcast app, just do a search. We're on most of them. And if you're an iTunes listener, if you could give us a review and a rating, that would be awesome, because that does help us out loads. Remember to check out Adam's channel, not the Big Geek's Handbag. The Geek's Handbag.
That's the one.
Just do a search for that on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, go check out the Series 10 premiere thing.
Yeah. Some great videos from Adam over on the Geek's Handbag. Really good stuff. You can spend hours just watching, just going through all of them. You've been doing videos for years now, mate. You've got, 3-4 years worth of videos on there?
Yes, there's loads on there, yeah.
Even going back to the early ones that are really good, like your location videos and some of your early unboxings and all that stuff. Really cool. Yeah.
Hours of entertainment on there.
Hours, yeah. So next week we will be reviewing episode 2 from series 10, which is those emoji robots in Smile.
It's emoji.
So look out for Twitter and Facebook, because we'll be asking for your thoughts and stuff on that as well. Which will be really good.
Perhaps we could just get people to comment in emojis. Just happy face or sad face.
No. Actually, yeah. Let's try it. Maybe.
Or just thumbs down.
Take your pick.
Or thumbs up.
Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,
Lomsey.